Good morning. Welcome into 104.5 The Zone. We've got Robert, we got Lucas, we've got you for the next 3 hours. Nate Washington has been champing. It's champing at the bit, not chomping, correct?
Allegedly, it's champing.
Why would I ask you?
Doesn't make any sense.
I'm correct. It makes no sense. Why would I ask you about pronunciations of things?
Well, I'm famously the linguist of the show, which I have to back up, and you have nothing of the sort.
Famously.
And the 8th grade spelling bee. So I understand why.
On top of 8th grade spelling.
Yeah. Like, so I get why you're trying to push that narrative, because you don't have anything in your favor to back it up. You don't have the receipts.
Famously, all I do is push narratives. So
exactly.
We will have Nate Washington, who is in fact champing at the bit to let his thoughts be heard in front of microphones, in front of you all, about what is going on with the organization that he spent a good bit of his career with. 615-737-1045 is the number. Jump in there if you'd like. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on Twitch.
And says chambering at the...
You mean chambering.
See, I was going to say we were going to let him into the champer.
That's good.
Champer?
That's good stuff.
Yeah, he's going to be champing at the bit. He might as well step into the champer.
We do need to talk about, before we talk about the injury report, because the quarterback is on it, I'll tell you if you should forget about it or not. We do need to push another narrative that Lucas has been pushing upon us that needs to be brought into the light of day. Lucas is very proud of his Brazilian heritage. He is having his wedding with his lovely fiancée, Megan, in Brazil at a date to be... Do you have a date?
June 12th, 2027.
Okay, good.
We got a minute.
Oh, we do have a while.
2027
date. You don't have to put it on your calendar.
Okay. But having his wedding in Brazil, he brought Robert and I both Brazil jerseys back from his last visit. He is a fan of their culture. He is a fan of their food. He hates when NFL teams play in Brazil and have narratives about the country of Brazil that he feels to be improper. And yet I was informed on Saturday, as all three of us were sitting at an East Nashville establishment watching Tennessee just beat the snot out of UAB, when Lucas was going to the bathroom every 5 minutes, as he's wont to do because he has the bladder of a pregnant woman. Mm-hmm. I was informed by one of your close friends and colleagues that you are not, in fact, Brazilian.
How so? I would love an explanation.
No. Why don't you explain to us why you're not Brazilian?
My friend Jay is always giving me, you know what?
Stop getting defensive.
Because my mother's grandparents immigrated from Italy to Brazil. And then had their kids there, and then, their kids had my mom and her brother there, and her brother and entire family's still there. But yes, he often tells me that I'm not actually Brazilian. I'm strictly Italian because my great-grandparents moved from Italy to Brazil.
So you lied to us.
Technically, my mother is a second-generation Brazilian.
But she's Italian.
She has Italian heritage, sure. I mean, how long does a family have to be in a country?
You tell me. You've been perpetrating this lie for years now. We looked at your ass and just assumed that you must be Brazilian. Nobody carrying around something like that could be anything but. And yet, here we sit. I want a 23andMe. I demand the genealogy.
I was about to say, what do you need a 23andMe for? I just turn around.
Look at that thing. I know. That's why we bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. Turns out you just got a fat ass.
I am now. Doug Falling on the FNM Bank chat says, I knew Lucas was 100% Caucasian. That is accurate, yes. Like, my family is much more European than anything else. But that's the thing about Brazil. It's a melting pot. There's Italians, there's Japanese people, there's Korean people, there's German people, there's Spanish people.
Did you get a fake butt so that you could perpetrate this lie that you are Brazilian? Did you, in fact, get a BBL?
BBL is not a thing where my mother comes from. That is an American thing for people to try to get butts that look
Correct.
Brazilian.
It is not a thing in Italy where your mother comes from. Robert, your thoughts?
I feel like I've been lied to this
you
entire time.
would be more hurt than anybody because the two of you have been in almost as long a relationship as he and Megan.
I mean, he is essentially my work wife.
Oh, how would Crystal feel about that?
Well, Crystal's my actual work wife.
You just tell her that. You just tell her that to get cigarettes off her.
I am the cigarette provider, the purveyor.
I am. I mean, we all feel you have led this audience astray for, 5 years now? Which is crazy to think about that we've been doing this stupid thing for 5 years. It's the audience that you have to apologize to, not Luke, not Robert, not me, not anybody else. Just the audience.
I apologize for absolutely nothing.
What are you, Conor McGregor? The quarterback's on the injury report, but it's not a big deal. Cam Ward was limited with a calf/ankle injury yesterday. They do not want people sounding the alarms because they do not think that there are alarms worth sounding. I do reserve the right to sound alarms later in the week because when last we had a situation like that, Tavondre Sweat told us he was playing on a Wednesday and then went on IR on a Friday. So I don't think it's anything that extreme. We will see how much practice Cam Ward is able to have today, but it is notable that the quarterback is listed in a limited capacity yesterday with an injury.
They didn't actually practice, right? It was a walkthrough. And so the injury report essentially is an estimation of what their designation would have been had they had a full-blown practice. Kevin Zeitler back limited with the bicep. Kevin Winston Jr. limited with the hamstring. But J.C. Latham, Khalil Mullings, and Bryce Oliver missing again. Cam Ward, ankle/calf. So I don't know if that's something that happened in the Colts game, if he's just if they're playing it safe, but there's been no indication that he's in danger of missing on Sunday.
If it was rest, he would be listed with rest. It is, so there is something there that they are managing, but he was limited in a walkthrough capacity yesterday because they practiced in the bubble.
Yeah, so he spoke yesterday too. It sounds like he's full go for this weekend, but it is something to keep an eye on for the quarterback that's been sacked 15 times in 3 games. Right?
And who will be up against a pass rush that is all world.
Deep.
They have, who's got 2 better pass rushers than Danielle Hunter, even at an advanced age, and Will Anderson Jr.? I can't think of a team. I don't know. It's Micah Parsons in Green Bay, obviously, but I'm blanking on the name of the other.
Danico Autry's still down there too.
Yeah, but he's not starting. He's not a primary. He is a reserve guy, which is great. If you can get Danico Autry in a reserve role, Houston has done well to stack up their defensive front that way.
Is he hurt? He actually has not played this season.
Danico? I'm not sure. But they do have other pieces and parts that they can use. Hell, Mario Edwards has been decent in Houston. Titans legend Mario Edwards has been giving them productive pass rush snaps. They also have a stout interior defensive line, which they fortified this offseason.
Danico is sidelined. So he started on the reserve PUP list. So he's out for at least the first 4 games.
So with all of the different things that you are looking at for Cam Ward to be up against, and it's worth noting that they have some injuries too. Derek Stingley, I don't think is going to play in this game, which is huge. He's got an oblique injury. He did not practice yesterday. It would be pretty surprising to see a player who left the game with an oblique injury, who continues not to practice, who is not expected to practice today, play in that game. So I would be surprised there. Now, they do have guys like Kamari Lassiter, friend of the show, Kamari Lassiter. You remember having him on at SEC Media Days?
Yeah.
They do have depth in the secondary. They have a good defense. Their linebackers are good. Their secondary is good. Their front is good. Their offense is crap. In fact, they're one of the worst offenses. They may be the worst offense in terms of success rate. So far this season, they are averaging as few of points as anybody in professional football right now.
Vibes are not good in Houston at the moment.
Well, theoretically, somebody doesn't have to win. Lucas could get his wish, and there could be a tie. Which
Love ties.
No. Between 2-0 and 3 teams, you want a tie? You want to work all week for a tie?
The Houston Texans are like the Florida Gators this year in that the defense has been good. Like the defense has given them a chance to win every game that they've been in. The offense just hasn't had any answers. And Joe Mixon has been MIA. I know he was always going to miss the first 4 games, but I don't know that there's any indication that he's on track to come back anytime soon. So they're working with Nick Chubb, who basically has 2 brand new knees, and Damian Pierce.
They can't run the football.
They're struggling to run the football. The offensive line has had issues. Titus Howard, I believe, returned to practice in a limited capacity yesterday.
DNP illness.
That's right, illness. So he missed. So he could come back if he's able to get around that. But yeah, it's been tough times down there in Houston.
So what we're going to do for you is we taped a new episode of The Install today. Robert, is that available in all platforms? Robert is communicating with many people back there, so I don't know if he heard me. Bert, do we have the install up and available?
The pod is up. I am efforting getting YouTube
That's
up.
just fine. For those of you who want to watch the full episode, you can catch it probably after the show on YouTube today, but we will play a portion of you specific to the mistakes that Cam Ward is making that are So Cam Ward obviously helps the offense in moments, but there are some mistakes that are worth pointing out on film, and we will do that with Greg Cosell coming up next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. You know on Thursday mornings, or you should know on Thursday mornings, that Greg Cosell of NFL Films gives us some of his time to tape a new episode of The Install, available wherever you get your podcast. Now, ideally, The Install would be an opportunity to preview the Titans matchup that week. But when the Titans suck, what do we talk about? Well, we talk a great deal about Cam Ward. That will be the thing that carries us all through a probably bad football season, another bad football season, because Cam Ward matters more than anything else. Now, there is a good bit of Texans preview on the full episode of the podcast today, but I did want you to hear a good bit of Cosell analysis on Cam as a bit of a teaser, and we will do that right now. Welcome into The Install with Greg Cosell of NFL Films. That's the main man himself. We are happy to have you for this Week 4 edition of the podcast. Greg, a lot of changes here this week in Tennessee. Obviously, there's some that impact our conversation, some less so. The biggest headline for us on this side of things as we get ready to talk about another divisional game between two teams that are in a difficult position, the Texans and the Titans, that the play calling duties will now be relegated from head coach Brian Callahan to quarterbacks coach Bo Hardigree. In principle, the offense stays the same. It'll just be curious to see how their tendencies change.
Yeah, and that's always hard to know. Let's say after we see the game this Sunday, that's going to be hard to know exactly, what's called versus what's not called. I know that Bo Hardigree's done this before, so he's not new to calling plays. And I think when you're a younger head coach that doesn't have experience as a head coach, really, I mean, this would be Brian Callahan's second year, and obviously he called plays last year. I think that is a smart move because and the way in which they're playing, there's too many pre-snap penalties. There's too many penalties that would be viewed as discipline penalties. And Brian needs to focus on the whole team, not on worrying about what he's going to call on 3rd and 6. So, I think the move is the right one. Whether that leads to a victory or not, time will tell. They're obviously playing a team as well that's, going through hard times. So I guess, in the same vein, D'Amico Ryans, who was a genius a month ago, I guess he's now an idiot too. We know how that stuff works. So, we'll see what happens. And they just got rid of their starting safety after their last game. So, I guess Tennessee's not the only team where there's a little turmoil right now.
No, there tends to be a few once we get the ball rolling at this time of year, and it's unfortunate that those conversations have to be had, but it is the nature of the business, and these guys understand that going in. It's just
no question.
You hate it on a personal side of things because there's good people who are working hard to fix these things, but at a certain point, a lot of this stuff, it's just it's not getting corrected. So.
No, and I will say this, and it's always something I'm kind of loath to say, only because fans don't want to hear this, but the reality is, when you look at the Titans roster, it's really not a very good roster at this moment. It needs to be built up, and normally that doesn't happen in 1 year. And when you have a poor roster, let's not mince words, and a rookie quarterback, that's not a good mix. Yeah. So, the rookie quarterback will end up having some good moments, probably more bad moments. And, then people start to doubt the rookie quarterback, but it's just not a good situation because, the bottom line is the roster is just not overall very good. And it's going to take some time to build it up. Obviously, they brought in a front office of people who are veteran front office people in the business who've been with good teams for years, and you just hope it can be built up. But it's not, it's not something you can do on the fly, and I know fans don't want to hear that because, they just played 2 home games and the fans were, I'm sure obviously hoping they'd win, generate a little excitement, a little interest. They didn't. And particularly the second one just, got off to the bad start when Cam just did not understand what the coverage was or didn't process it properly and just made a late flow throw into the flat where the flat defender in cover 3 was sitting. And then he comes back. It's funny, you just see the flashes and you just say, like when he had Ridley for 27 yards, and by the way, the fact that Ridley only had one target, again, I don't know what to make of that. I'm not the play caller. I don't know what to make of that.
Mm.
But then he comes back and hits Ridley for 27 yards versus the same cover three when he threw a ball with amazing timing and anticipation, as if he knew exactly what was going on. So you see the really good, and then you see the tough. And when your O line is just not very good, and obviously they were playing backups on the right side, and that was, at times a little troublesome, as because they obviously rotated two guys at right tackle, never a position you want to be in. And they both struggled mightily. It makes it even harder for a rookie quarterback. So there's a lot of factors here. It's just going to take time. And I've been doing this a long time, Buck, as you know. There's no shortcuts and there's no easy fix.
Yeah, and I think that's tough for fans who live on a game by game basis to come to terms
No
with.
question.
And some of that is understandable, but it is important to keep the nuances of this thing in mind, because on the same way, fans will jump on a coach for play calling and without having the full grasp of what it is that is going on in the meeting rooms, or a mistake that Cam Ward makes, like we'll talk about with this pick six that he started the game off with.
That was his mistake all the way. He knows it. That was not a question.
Correct. And there are miscues like that all over the place. So it turns out a team that was going to be in a difficult position no matter what this year is having some struggles. Right. Some have been amplified more than others. And that is what has taken place so far through this start.
Week to week for fans. I mean, I remember last week, I'm hearing some people say, in the media, I'm not talking fans, in the media, gee, I wonder how long the Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams marriage will last. And then this week, after the game Sunday, it's like, well, let's get Caleb Williams suited up for his Hall of Fame jacket. I mean, that's the nature of the business, but the thing that I don't want to say concerning, but you have to really have a handle on it, is when you don't have good O-line play, what happens is your quarterback starts to develop bad habits. And you can coach those all day long. Okay. And I'm sure they're coached. I've been to training camps, stuff's coached. But then you get in the games and those bad habits come out because he just either starts to anticipate pressure, perceive pressure, or the pressure's real. And you start to develop bad habits, especially when you start to anticipate that, hey, because they're still human beings. So you drop back and you just feel like, hey, my O-line is not really doing a great job. I'm going to get pressure. So you end up fundamentally not playing the position the right way. And Cam Ward has always had a little bit of a tendency to drift, a little bit. It wasn't terrible in college to the point where it's like, oh, that's bad. But he just has that little bit of a tendency, and that just gets magnified and worsened behind a bad O-line. And you just really have to stay as a coach on trying to prevent that as much as possible.
Yeah, we didn't talk to Kevin Zeitler or J.C. Latham yesterday in the locker room. We'll try and get a hold of them today to see what their potential availability might be, Greg. Because obviously that will matter a great deal as we'll get ready to talk about this Houston front. While Houston is struggling on offense, their defense has plenty of horsepower up front.
Their defense is really good. I mean, they've got two guys. I mean, if Latham can't go, that's going to be a significant concern because both those right tackles really had a hard time with speed to power. And Will Anderson is a top 3 speed to power pass rusher in this league. He's just a strong dude. And I'm sure everybody in Nashville, because it's SEC country, knows that. And he's a tough assignment. And this is not the best D line you want to be facing when you're struggling on the O line, particularly if the right side of the line is out again.
Yeah. So before we dive into a little more detail on the Houston side of things, Greg, let's just talk about Cam, because that conversation will be had week by week, no matter what. Yeah. The pick six on the first drive, he said that he made a mistake in where he asked Tony Pollard to go as he was directing traffic during the play. There was also, and we don't know what his primary read was necessarily, but Alec Iamaner, big body wide receiver, who he seems to like, was open on a slant concept there, and I wonder what you saw in the play.
Yeah, here's what I typed. I'm going to read what I typed. Moore's 32-yard interception return TD on 3rd and 9 resulted from Ward throwing late in the flat without an understanding of the coverage, which was cover 3. Moore was the flat defender. Io Manor open on the slant route to the trips read side versus the soft cover 3. That's where Ward needed to go within structure. That's where the ball needed to go. It was 3rd and 9, and they were playing soft. So Io Manor would have had a first down easily. That's the read side. It was the trip side. That's where the ball has to go. So for whatever reason, he just didn't process that. He didn't. I don't want to say he didn't see it, because you never know what's in a guy's head, but it just didn't register to him. That's where the ball had to go. No, that plays on Cam. I mean, maybe Pollard wasn't in the spot Cam thought he'd be, but that becomes irrelevant. The ball should have gone to Io Manor, and then you can't throw late in the flat like that against cover 3. There's a flat defender sitting there.
Yeah, and Cam, we spoke to yesterday as we taped this on a Thursday morning. He said, and he said it after the game. He said it yesterday as well. I just made a mistake there. That's on me. And he's also talked, Greg, about the pressure that he creates unto himself. Some of it is his offensive line struggling, but he is not. He is aware that he is also a part of the problem there.
And then I think I've been telling you about that for months. That's that he does that on occasion, and that's something else you have to work through. So, like I said, these are all normal things, but when the O-line adds to the issue, and this was the first game where they kind of had to throw almost, on every snap at some point, it becomes tougher. It just becomes, because you can't control when you're throwing the ball when you get behind big, okay? You can't, and with a young rookie quarterback, you really want to be in that situation where you can control when you throw the ball. Now, having said that, of course, there's going to be 3rd and longs in every game, but and everybody knows that. But you don't want to be in a situation where literally 90% of the plays have to be passes.
Yeah, Greg, I mean, their average 3rd down is like 3rd and 8+ at this point in time. I mean, they're just,
so
it's penalties, it's offensive line. There's a couple of different factors.
There's a lot of factors here. And like I said, there's no shortcuts. There's no quick fixes. It's not great news for fans. And you and I both know that the stadium is not full right now. And, there's the one thing an organization never wants from a fan base is the feeling that there's no hope. So, that's, I can't speak for fans. I can just tell you what the film shows and my experience, doing this for a long time. But this is going to be a hard year because they're just not that talented a roster.
Yeah, and we understand that. Now, to the point of some of the more impressive moments, because I did think that Cam, despite the circumstance, found ways to rebound well. The game got out of hand. And there were, the thing that's really hurting them in particular, Greg, is that Calvin Ridley cannot be relied upon to consistently catch the football.
It's funny because I'm not saying they would have won the first 2 games. You never know. But, he's had some really troublesome drops, really troublesome. I mean, I remember, I think it was the second game on 3rd and 13 that he had a drop, and that short-circuited a drive. But no, he's had some really troublesome drops. Now, again, he only had 1 target this week. So, you and I are not in the meetings, but, at his best, he's a pretty big time receiver. He has not been at his best through 3 games, clearly, but he needs to be at his best. So I don't know what happened starting this week. And I'm sure he's not, a happy camper about it, but he has nothing to complain about, unfortunately, because he's had some critical drops. So, and the thing is, one throw that I think Ward does make really well, and he's just missed a couple. He missed one to a Chig. We'll go Chig. Chig this week on the seam ball. And I think he just rushed it a touch because there was an inside stunt. And I think it was Buckner, perhaps, who might have been bearing down on him. And I think he probably threw it just a millisecond earlier than he wanted it to. And, that's not a catchable ball to me. Like, people might say, oh, it's another drop. That's not a drop, but we saw that with Ridley in week 1, I believe. Same thing, a seam ball like that. It was actually right after the DK play where he thought DK should have, bent it in, this is just going to take time. I don't know what else to say. It's a hard deal.
No, but
It's a hard
that's
deal.
it's nothing profound, right, Greg? And I think
Yeah,
that's the thing that has to be reinforced for fans as we move our way through this, because we understand that there are going to be some ebbs and flows. Now, let's talk about the Texans, because
yeah,
their circumstances, at least offensively, it seems there are some similarities here where their offensive line underwent some changes this offseason program. Titus
yeah,
Howard is the only returning starter from last year's group
yeah,
that's
yeah.
playing right now. And C.J. Stroud has struggled in this previous season and 3 games in, dealing with the pressure. What are you seeing from him specifically, and beyond that, what are they trying to accomplish on offense?
Yeah, offensively, they're struggling as well. I mean, really big time struggling. And, one of the things, first of all, they can't run the ball. And, you know, see, the thing about Stroud, his rookie season, he was so good as a timing anticipation thrower. Now, he was really well protected, so that made it, I don't, by NFL standards, easier. Um, Last year, there was more pressure on him and he struggled, sort of having to deal with the fact that there were more bodies around him. You've heard me talk many times about one of the transitions rookie quarterbacks and young quarterbacks have to make from college to the NFL is sort of an innate feel for what is pressure by NFL standards and what isn't pressure by NFL standards, because there will be bodies around you. And Stroud did not do a great job a year ago, even though they made it to the second round of the playoffs. Um, this year, somewhat similar. My sense watching the tape, and this is just a sense because I don't know what's in Stroud's head, but my sense is he's not been a confident thrower. I mean, there were times in the past, especially his rookie season, where he made high level timing and anticipation throws. We know he can do that. Now, for whatever reason, maybe mentally Buck, he's just playing faster because he's sensing that he'll be pressured. He's just not seeing those throws as viable, and he's getting stuck in the pocket. And even though he's not immobile, he's not a statue, he's really a pocket quarterback at his core. That's his game.
Mm. That is a portion of the podcast with Greg Cosell. If you want the rest of the Texans preview and some more Cam Ward analysis, you can find that in your favorite podcast feed. Robert tells me he will have the YouTube full edition up by lunch.
What's the chance we could get a desk tour with Greg? Because I always see that board behind him, and I'm always squinting so hard I can never read his sticky notes. Like, what do I have to do to get a desk tour?
I feel you would have to pay him.
No,
I feel like that's Greg's version of OnlyFans.
No, next week for the install. Greg, everyone, welcome to the install. Buck Rising here with Greg Cosell, NFL film evaluator. Greg, before we get started, what's on that backboard? What's on that desk?
I don't think he wants you to know.
Let's see it.
I bet he would tell you.
What's in that pencil holder? A bunch of number 2s?
I bet he start getting
It depends on who asks him, because if it's going to be like when Robert gets a hold of Greg and he's just asking him about Ravens draft prospects, and Greg is very kind to enable you.
He treats me like a Make-A-Wish kid. That's because I told him I'm a Make-A-Wish
I disagree. I think Greg
That's how you got him to talk about it. You told him you were Make-A-Wish kid.
I don't know, man. I think Greg just loves talking about this stuff.
I don't think anybody loves talking about it every day and grinding the tape more than Greg
Yeah,
does.
so I see Greg, when Greg and Robert get into those discussions, I see a very engaged Greg Cosell.
Every time he's like, and who was their 4th rounder? I'm like, oh, yes, it was this guy, Greg. Tell me about him. Yes. What about Carson Vinson? You know anything about him? Let me know. Tell me good things. I need it.
James Williams, the locker mate of Jarvis Brownlee, had some interesting thoughts yesterday on the trade. He is also of that draft class, and you will hear from the Titans linebacker coming up next. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Your tummy rumbling back there?
I'm a little hungry.
Okay. What are we thinking about?
Bucket of chicken.
Bucket of chicken? I could be convinced.
Why did you say it like that?
Because it's a sexual thing, a bucket of
Very
chicken.
sultry.
There's nothing.
Bucket
It's the music. What is more seductive than a bucket of Hattie B's hot chicken? I couldn't possibly think of anything that would get you going more.
What do you want to do this weekend, baby?
Just make sure you wash your hands first,
Definitely want a bucket of chicken.
because that's for sure a hospital trip in the making.
Wash your hands after, too.
Well, yes. I'm just happy anytime I see Bert wash his hands generally.
Hey, I got a bunch of hand sanitizer back here.
That doesn't count as washing your hands.
Yeah,
you
that
need to be
kills
washing your hands
99.9%
and
of
also
germs.
using hand sanitizer.
What's the point of washing germs off if that 0.01% is going to be there?
You're just mixing hot chicken spices with Purell all over your hands.
Correct. Like
kills
that's not,
more. Okay, I don't know how it could
kills
kill.
the germs, but you still got to
Yeah.
get
Hattie
the
B's
stuff
is not
off.
a bacteria.
Kills more than 99.99% of germs. I don't know how it could kill more than that.
Well, it doesn't physically
I guess it's
wash the hot chicken spice
99.999.
off your fingers. Again, I have had to make a hospital trip as a result of a situation with chicken wings before.
Germs leaves hands feeling soft. I think I would be okay. Oh, just shot out the side all over myself.
Oh, sensual.
This thing's got a bunch
So
of...
James Williams talked in the locker room yesterday. They traded away his boy. They traded away his best friend, Jarvis Brownlee Jr. We talked to Darryl Baker. I did not see Jalen Armour-Davis to speak to him yesterday, so perhaps I can catch up with him today after practice. But we talked to Snead, Baker, and James Williams, and Jeff Simmons, among other people. I was not there when Calvin Ridley spoke. Calvin Ridley, I guess, was at the very tail end of the locker room availability, and I had left by then. So, to a man, they were all very supportive of the teammate that Jarvis Brownlee was. Jarvis Brownlee, by the way, came out against the A to Z article that was citing quotes from his draft process that were considered red flags. I obviously am an employee of A to Z Sports. I've got no issue with them reporting on things the way that they feel that they need to, but it felt like it was old information that was being brought back to the forefront on the Jarvis Brownlee situation without actually talking to Jarvis Brownlee about it, which is where I think he took the biggest issue. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's more context about Brownlee and just kind of what the discussion was around him in the draft process. But yeah, for it to directly relate to this trade, there's got to be something concrete about what has happened since he arrived in Tennessee, and we have nothing.
There was not. So And I guess, yeah, I mean, any context that you want in a situation like that could lead to potential Jarvis Brownlee behavior. And again, I don't think he was a perfect soldier on all this. Like, I'm not absolving Jarvis Brownlee for being a bit petulant. There's context that's required there, too. I just think that they are more in the wrong than he is. So, James Williams speaking yesterday at his locker about Jarvis Brownlee, who is his friend, his teammate, his fellow South Floridian, and is now a member of the New York Jets.
So were you guys living together here?
No.
You were just in the house hanging out?
Yeah,
Okay.
we stayed close by each other.
Gotcha.
So, that good.
What was his reaction?
I mean, he was shocked. I mean, the first time ever being traded, kind of shocking that it happened around this time of the season. So, I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
Do you think it was done to kind of send a message that things got to shape up, change?
I mean, I don't know. I can't make that decision. I don't know what they did. What was the reason of it? Why they did it? I don't know.
What's the reaction in the room, man?
It's normal. We don't see plenty of things like this. It just so happened to be Jarvis, so we kind of numb to it. So it ain't nothing new to us.
Speculation about what kind of a locker room guy or what kind of a teammate Jarvis is. Can you speak to what kind of a locker room guy
He's a competitive guy. As you can see, you turn on the tape, you see somebody competing no matter what it is. He started on teams, and when he first got here, he was competing on teams, and then he got a job. So all Jarvis did was compete. That's a competitive guy, no matter what. We could be arguing about women. He's going to compete. That's a competing person. So they got a dog. They got somebody that's willing to do whatever for a team. So kudos to them.
Now, not just because James Williams, also it's hilarious that he's bringing up, yeah, he's even competitive with me about women. It's very relatable. Everybody said basically the same thing. Now, they're not going to crap on Jarvis Brownlee on the way out the door, but I'm still looking for evidence that he was a problem in that locker room. You know what I'm saying? And that you don't want a player who is going to compete at everything. You should want the most competitive atmosphere possible. And if that player is beaten out in competition, then great. But if you can't handle that player's level of competitive spirit, then that's a you problem, not a him problem. Anyway, James Williams in the locker room.
I mean, but that, for you, wasn't the reason why they traded him, right?
No. They wanted to play guys behind him.
Yeah. I guess my question would be, okay, then why trade him? You can still play those guys.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to trade somebody in order to play somebody else over him.
Because he's not their guy.
So just want him out of there.
Are. I mean, Lucas, you've been around the Titans long enough. I know you're not in the locker room like this, and maybe your experience is different than mine, but I have dealt with plenty of prideful personnel people in the NFL who think that their guy is the guy as opposed to some guy that another guy found. Like, they want to be the guy who found the guy.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's not that hard of a concept in the NFL. It happens everywhere.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, and to the point of them not getting really much of anything in return, I suppose you can look at them being the ones calling, right? So that sense of urgency to offload him from the roster then probably loses you some leverage. But to that, I'd say, is there not a scenario where you could wait, right? Let the season go on. Even if he's not one of your guys, get some good football out of Jarvis Brownlee and see if the calls come. Right? Like, you can still ship him off, and he doesn't have to be a part of your long-term future if he doesn't fit what you want from a cultural standpoint. And I don't know. I don't know what their logic is on that. But isn't there a scenario where you could get something for Jarvis Brownlee Jr. if you don't signal that you want him out of there?
Yeah, if they're not calling people, right? If they aren't the ones calling the Jets,
right,
being like, "Hey, I've got a hot young Jarvis Brownlee Jr. fresh off the press. Do you want one?" Like,
the problem was they spent a week calling people.
Yeah, if other people were calling them to acquire his services, you would assume the price would be higher. But because they reached out to the Patriots and the Jets and whoever else they did, the price tanked immediately. You immediately lose all leverage when you're like, "Are you interested in this player?"
That's what I'm saying. Like, at some point in the season, there will be calls to the Titans, right? For some of these guys.
Especially the worse it gets.
He could be a candidate. And the leverage is immediately flipped in your favor when they're the ones calling you.
Like I said, I don't think that he handled the situation perfectly. I'm just saying that it wasn't something that they couldn't find a way to overcome. It doesn't have to be more complicated than that. I know people want it to be because, like you, I think many fans are looking for an explanation, Lucas. And I know you're in a more professional capacity than a lot of fans, but you're still a Titans fan, and you want to know why your football team got worse for no reason. I don't have a better answer for you than, yeah, they did what they did because it's what they wanted to do.
Yeah, ultimately, like, that's the question fans are asking. Why did we sacrifice cornerback depth for next to nothing in terms of the value? That is the question that fans are scratching their heads about this week.
I suppose Mike Borgonzi may speak around the trade deadline. That's the thing about GMs. This is the thing that made John Robinson's situation so different. And I think there was a lot of criticism for Rand Carthon because he didn't talk publicly very often. But there is no requirement in the NFL that makes a GM speak as often as John did. John just felt it necessary to explain everything that he did. And that's fine. It's kind of like a different version of Brian Callahan, right? John wants to be right. He wants you to know why he thinks he's right, why they did X, Y, and Z. There were many conversations from the A.J. Brown trade to when they cut Rashard Matthews to when they signed Vic Beasley and all these other things. Some were good, some were bad. But there is no requirement. In the same way, this is like the Mike McDaniel situation in Miami, where Mike McDaniel is not in a great circumstance and is not doing a great job at press conferences, similar to Brian Callahan. But Chris Greer is as big a part of the problem, the GM there, and he doesn't have to get in front of media as often as Mike McDaniel does. Brian Callahan was scheduled for a Wednesday press conference no matter what. It's required. Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker don't have to do that. Certainly not Chad Brinker. Unless they want to. But God knows they probably don't want to get in front of this fan base right now.
So, I guess we'll see on Sunday. The snaps that Jalen Armour-Davis gets, that's the next question, right? Okay, who is your guy? that spot.
I bet Baker still plays more. Like, I bet Baker gets more snaps than, well, actually, I don't know that because Marcus Harris has been here not as long as Baker. He's a draft pick, but Jalen Armour-Davis played, 18 snaps, I think, in this past game? So they're clearly ramping him up or trying to ramp him up. And Jarvis Brownlee was not available to play in that last game, so they were trying a couple of different things there. But
let's see. Baker played 13 snaps. Oh, why am I not seeing Armour-Davis on the snap count from the Colts game? He played.
He did. I want to say it was 18 snaps. It was less than 20. I can find that for you on Pro Football Reference. What we will do coming up next, speaking of defensive players, speaking of cornerbacks, L'Jarius, what?
I was looking at the wrong game. I was looking at week 2.
I've done that.
Brownlee, by the way, played 53 snaps in week 2. How many snaps do you think? Or he was inactive on Sunday. Jalen Armour-Davis played 19 snaps. 19 snaps.
19.
Baker played 38.
Okay. So, cornerback depth. L'Jarius Sneed is somebody on your roster who usually requires some level of depth behind him given his lack of availability. He had some words about Nico Collins. We will play that for you coming up next.
It is 11:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. Titans had a walkthrough on Wednesday as they prepare to play at the Texans Sunday. The injury report is an estimation, but did have quarterback Cam Ward listed as limited with an ankle/calf. J.C. Latham, Khalil Mullings, and Bryce Oliver did not practice. Right guard Kevin Zeitler listed as limited with the bicep. In Houston, star corner Derek Stingley Jr. did not practice with an oblique injury for the Texans. Cam Ward met with the media on Wednesday and talked about his relationship with quarterbacks coach Bo Hardigree as he takes over offensive play calling.
Well, it's been good. He's one of the first ones who hit me up in the pre-draft process. I talked to him a lot of phone calls, a lot of installs with Bo throughout the pre-draft process. So I have a great relationship with him. I meet with him every day. He knows where my mind is and how I feel space on the field. And I just think he's going to be a good, addition for us.
For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
L'Jarius Sneed had some words, or I suppose a word, about his upcoming opponent, Nico Collins, the wide receiver of the Houston Texans. We will play you the Sneed exchange. We will play you Nico Collins' response here in just a second. Jason Fitz will finally join us. We've been pushing Fitzy off since Tuesday. God bless him. He has been flexible with his schedule. He's not doing anything, of course. He's only interviewing people like Jason Tatum for his Yahoo Sports show. So Fitzy will be upon us here in about 20 minutes from now. Nate Washington is also very excited to let Titans fans know his thoughts on the way that a couple of different things have been happening with this team. It's been a very newsy week, not just like Titans, but all the college football stuff, the John Mateer surgery. Like, it's just there's all manner of different news items. It felt like Monday and Tuesday we were kind of spinning.
There's been stuff that normally would carry like multiple days of the news cycle. Like in the college game, like you said, Mike Gundy being fired from Oklahoma State is a huge shift in the college football world as we know it. Like, it's insane to think that Mike Gundy is not going to be the head coach at OK State.
In season, no less.
Early in the season. And it got bad, and it had to happen. They still need to build a statue of him, by the way, outside that stadium. Like, easily. They need to build Mike Gundy a statue.
Does it have the mullet, or does it have the haircut?
Got to have
40?
the mullet. Got to have the mullet. Like, we didn't even get a chance to rehash the Mike Gundy, I'm a man, I'm 40 rant. And remember all of the times that he leveraged Tennessee for more money at Oklahoma State. All of these things. Oh, and Bruce Pearl retired to potentially go into politics and handed the job to his son. Like, crazy week that has just been drowned out in what has been an interesting late September stretch.
It's unfortunate because I feel like we have thoughts on all of those things. And instead
I want to play back the Mike Gundy, I'm a man, I'm 40 rant.
We can do that, buddy.
I'm a man, I'm 29, and I want to hear it.
Well, I feel bad about how yesterday went for you because you wanted more of your team and your team disappointed you, and I feel that we should do something conciliatory for you.
I wanted more of my team. What are you talking about?
Yes, you wanted more logic and reason from your team about why they traded a talented young corner, and then I laughed at you after the press conference was over because they didn't have any of that. So we can if it would make you feel better. Would it make you feel better?
We need to play that rant at some point this week, which means today. I won't be here tomorrow.
Where are you going to be?
I'll be with Ramon tomorrow. I'll be on 6 to 10. We'll be at Greystone Golf Club in Dixon, the annual Golf for a Cure event to fight DMD.
We found out that his heritage is not what his heritage is, and now he's leaving us.
It's disrespectful. Would you like the full Mike Gundy rant, or would you just want the come after me?
How long is the full rant?
Like 3 minutes.
Oh, man.
I don't think I've ever heard the full rant.
Let's do it.
Okay, we're here now.
All right, well, hold on. You got to get past the YouTube ads and whatnot, so just give me a second.
Okay, that's fine.
He kept it clean, too.
Well, this was at a time. What, you have something to say? Your microphone's on.
I know. I wasn't saying nothing. I'm just back here doing my job.
It's usually an indication that you need to say something.
No, it's okay. I just like leaving it on. The red light makes me know Christmas is close. Just give me a second. I'll have this ready whenever.
Okay, thank you. We do.
Anybody hasn't read this article, I don't read it. This was brought to me by a mother of children. I think this is worth reading. Let me tell you why I want to talk about this article. 3/4 of this is inaccurate. It's fiction. And this article embarrasses me to be involved with athletics tremendously. And that article had to have been written by a person that doesn't have a child and has never had a child that's had their heart broken and come home upset and had to deal with the child when he is upset and kick a person when he's down. Here's all that kid did. He goes to class. He's respectful to the media. He's respectful to the public. And he's a good kid. And he's not a professional athlete. And he doesn't deserve to be kicked when he's down. If you have a child someday, you'll understand how it feels. But you obviously don't have a child. I do. If your child goes down the street and somebody makes fun of him because he dropped a pass in a pickup game, or says he's fat, and he comes home crying to his mom, you'd understand. But you haven't had that. But someday you will. And when your child comes home, you'll understand. If you want to go after an athlete, one of my athletes, you go after one that doesn't do the right things. You don't downgrade him because he does everything right and may not play as well on Saturday. And you let us make that decision. That's why I don't read the newspaper. Because it's garbage. And the editor that let it come out is garbage. Attacking an amateur athlete for doing everything right. And then you want to write articles about guys that don't do things right and downgrade them, the ones that do make plays. Are you kidding me? Where are we at in society today? Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. I'm not a kid. Write something about me or our coaches. Don't write about a kid that does everything right, that's heart's broken, and then say that the coaches said he was scared. That ain't true. And then to say that we made that decision because Donovan Woods, because he threatened to transfer, that's not true. So get your facts straight. And I hope someday you have a child and somebody downgrades them and belittles them, and you have to look them in the eye and say, you know what? It's okay. They're supposed to be mature adults, but they're really not. Who's the kid here? Who's the kid here? Are you kidding me? And that's all I got to say. Makes me want to puke.
So good.
We erred in not getting to that sooner. Nothing about the Titans play calling or Jarvis Brownlee should have superseded us playing 3 minutes of Mike Gundy ranting at a podium. Are you, we should put this on the poll, are you a man until you turn 40? Because I feel like that's a fair barometer.
Great question.
That ain't true.
This is why I don't read the newspaper. I love that.
No, he hit the dinger off the top. He's like, this was handed to me by a mother of children.
Of children?
He just wanted to make sure that you understood. Because clearly that person doesn't have children. So if you didn't know, a mother has children.
Now,
You call one of these kids fat?
The backstory and fallout from that was so fascinating because the backstory was about Bobby Reed. It was a highly recruited quarterback at OK State, and it was a tumultuous time. He had poor performance issues. He had injuries. He was benched. He went back in, was benched again. And the article, if I'm not mistaken, was about Bobby Reed being benched for being soft and not wanting to play through injuries and being coddled by his mom and all these things. So Gundy went on this rant. Bobby Reed, the player that the rant was about, that he was defending, was humiliated by it and has talked about it in the past, saying that that had a big effect on him, that he was embarrassed by it. He didn't feel like it was genuine from Mike Gundy and that it was kind of performative. But also, that gave Oklahoma State a huge boost in recruiting, in just the publicity of it all.
It's one of the first viral moments I can remember before things were going viral.
Oh yeah, like you can bet that rant helped Mike Gundy win football games.
Yes,
because players and family said, "Oh, that dude will stick up for me. He'll stick up for my kid." But the kid in question didn't feel that way. It's honestly there needs to be a 30 for 30 about the "I'm a man, I'm 40" rant. I'm serious.
I wanted you to listen to this one more time, But just pretend that instead of Mike Gundy
Not
doing
the
this
whole
rant, no, a part of it.
Also, is he pacing because he gets
Yes.
farther away from the
Yes.
microphone?
That's why
and
it
then-
goes low, the audio, and then back up.
Lucas thought it was like an audio issue back then.
No,
but
yeah,
he's
he
just
does. He's
pacing.
walking around.
Instead of Mike Gundy doing this rant, I want you to pretend that it's Michael Scott.
I don't read it. This was brought to me by a mother of children.
That is exactly what that sounds like.
It almost sounds like him.
That's so funny.
If you go back and listen to it with your eyes closed, you would not be able to distinguish the difference between him berating someone over a college athlete or a paper salesman.
Like a Southern Michael Scott.
Yes.
Is what I hear there. Michael Scott with a twang.
Ever since he poo-pooed the newspaper, they have not recovered.
It's true. Did Mike Gundy kill newspapers?
That's why I don't read the newspaper.
Did Mike Gundy create the internet? So this happened in 2007.
He watches a news network that probably makes him think he does.
This happened in 2007, his third year at OK State, and they had gone 4-7, 7-6. His third year, they went 7-6. After that rant, they ripped off 9 wins, 11 wins, 12 wins, 8 wins, 10 wins, and on and on and on and on. Truly an incredible run by Mike Gundy. 170-90 as the head coach at OK State. Got bad at the end. The vibes were not good. They also didn't really have money, which is weird because I thought T. Boone Pickens had all the money in the world and, again, continuously reminded Tennessee fans of how much money they had.
Is he still with us?
Is T. Boone Pickens still with us?
Did I just kill him unnecessarily?
He
in
did.
the
He
same
passed
way
away in 2019.
I was about to celebrate that I got that right, but then I
family. Yeah, don't do that. But yeah, I don't know.
Fist bumped.
I always thought OK State had money. They certainly had money to keep Mike Gundy from going to Tennessee all those years.
Maybe the family looked around and said, "Dad's spending how much on Oklahoma State football?"
Yeah. But truly, though, legend of all legends in Oklahoma State history. It's hard to find a figure more legendary to one program than Mike Gundy as a player, assistant, and head coach at OK State.
This feels like a summer segment, but
Well, that's because we just don't want to talk about the Titans anymore.
I would be totally okay with us taking a moment in sports and just doing this. You know what I mean?
I love it.
during
Just
the summer?
rehashing. Yes, just rehashing.
Like, where were you when?
Yeah,
Like the way PTI does, the happy anniversary segments. Hey, remember when this happened?
Maybe that's
34 years ago?
Maybe that's the ticket. Maybe we need to.
We just steal PTI's thing.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
We just steal PT. We just do birthdays and anniversaries. By the way, it was Eddie George's birthday yesterday. So happy birthday to Eddie George. And what was a crazy day in Titanland.
Are we doing the thing?
We do care.
We do.
You know why I care more?
Because they have a cat.
They have a cat.
Guys, Pudge.
Pudge the cat.
Yep. Bowling Green is 2-2, by the way.
Why have we not talked about this?
We have. You just
We
weren't
did.
here.
You weren't here.
Oh. Rude.
Yeah, we were at Yazoo Brewing,
Talked about it for an
a
hour.
remote that you rudely missed because you just don't want to interact with anybody that listens to the show.
That's right.
And if you'd like to interact with Buck, you can go to his house at 1727.
You're going to hand out somebody's address.
Right. People are going to go to
No.
You're gonna ruin some poor bastard's day because you gave out an address that's
Nobody's
not mine.
going to go, but Buck is going to go to that address to see if anybody shows up.
I just want to know.
And then be really sad when nobody does.
Do people care?
I
Please
almost
care.
read your reel.
That would be such a you thing to do, to start out trying to read a fake address and then read a real address.
And just be like, oh, yeah, he stays in.
Oh, my God. I can hear the cigarettes in your wheeze.
Leave me alone.
Jason Fitz next.
Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40.
Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. Jason Fitz is there with us. Yahoo Sports Daily. You can hear him on Saturdays with me on Fox Sports Radio. Fitzy, you have been very diplomatic with us, and we greatly appreciate you because we are normally joined by you on Tuesdays, and then Tuesday the head coach gave a press conference where he gave up play calling, and we said, Fitzy, would you give us a day? And then the Titans decided to trade one of the few viable players on their roster for a bag of beans, and we said, Fitzy, can you just give us another day? And now,
what's going to happen today?
I don't know, but
in a matter of seconds.
It's too late now. Fitzy's here. I don't care if they. No.
Breaking Titans news on 104.5 The Zone.
Don't do that.
Yes, we have breaking news that is going to require us to pivot from Jason Fitz. Sorry, Jason. We have some important things to discuss.
They don't do anything important anymore that is worth moving Fitzy. Jason Fitz, are you there?
What are you doing at 10:20 tomorrow?
I'm here, and I love this. Like, look, I don't love drama for the Titans, but I love the fact that you get drama to talk about every day. That's fun. And look, I will say, I was excited to talk to you because I've had the experience of Bo Hardigree before as my interim offensive coordinator for my beloved Las Vegas Raiders. And I've seen a lot of people say, oh, he had a lot of success with the Raiders. Did he? Like, there was a very small period where the Raiders went really hot at the end of the year. And I talked to players that were on that team about why they went hot at the end of that year. Didn't have a lot to do with sort of this clever offensive play calling. Like, for everybody that comes back and says there was some level of brilliance out of that, there wasn't. Hardigree went into an unenviable position of being named an interim offensive coordinator on a bad football team, and he handled that fine. But I think if anybody's coming in saying, oh, yeah, super qualified, there's a reason he didn't get the job the next year. I'm just saying there's still a lot to work on before I'm going to anoint Bo Hardigree as like Kyle Shanahan in waiting.
Fitzy, I have been so hard on them all week, and though we were looking to you for exactly what you just gave us, which is appropriate and fair, but like, to be a Titans fan right now. Also, I don't think Lucas and I are having fun. Like, I don't think Lucas and Robert and I are having fun talking about this godforsaken football franchise that can't stop peeing down its leg.
That's where you've said this so many times, and I've echoed this sentiment for years. The easiest thing to do is stop giving your money. But the hardest part about that, y'all, like, I'm honest. And I had a friend ask me a couple of years ago, why are you still a Raiders fan? And the answer to that is like, because I don't know how to not be one. So I feel you Titans fans when you turn around and say, hey, it's not that simple. I can't just turn off my fandom. Like, I cannot control the fact, I wish I could, that my Mondays suck more often than not because all I'm doing is thinking about how my beloved Raiders laid an egg. I get why fans feel the way they feel. The hardest part about it is the next step is always fire the owner. This is what everybody says. And if we're being real, we just apply this to all businesses. If your favorite restaurant that you've gone to your whole life suddenly sucks, you don't get to go in one night, throw the food around and say, fire the owner. Like, you just have to stop going to the restaurant. There is virtually nothing that simply results on the field that will ever get an NFL owner fired. It won't happen. Like, Dan Snyder had the worst franchise you could ever imagine for years. And what did it take for him to be forced out of the league? It took Congress getting involved because of his actions that had nothing to do with football. And how did Washington turn the tide? They actually got new ownership in that ran it like a competent organization. Here's the real like, look at it. Consistently, the teams that suck almost always suck in the NFL. Why? Because what do you do when the person responsible for building your franchise simply can't identify culture-setting talent? That's what happens more often than not. Now, you can get lucky. A few years ago, we said the Texans were never going to get another head coach, especially a minority head coach that was going to come in and want to be part of that organization. D'Amico Ryans absolutely wanted that job. They get C.J. Stroud, and now all of a sudden, coach quarterback combo, they're a competent organization having a rough year this year, but they are a competent organization. That wasn't skill. That was luck. So if your real answer to this is Amy Adams Strunk needs to sell the team, number one, that is not going to now or ever happen. Being terrible will never force her to sell. Number two, if your answer is, well, we just need to bring in somebody else, the same person's going to be in charge of deciding who the new regime is. Yep. So if every time the same person is making the decisions, it never gets any better. The real answer Titans fans don't want to hear is that your only way out of this cycle is the same way I break the cycle with the Raiders. Someday, you hope your owner gets lucky. And that's a bad way to feel every year about your favorite football team.
At Jason Fitz is where you can follow him. Yahoo Sports Daily is where you can hang out with him and Caroline Fenton in the mornings. Saturday nights on Fox Sports Radio with me.
So there was improvement, right? That 5-4 stretch in 2023 with the Raiders, and Aiden O'Connell comes in. They had that 63-point game against the Chargers. It got Brandon Staley fired. So from your conversations, what were the underlying reasons for that boost, sticking with the offense, since that's what Titans fans are clinging on to this week, and that points per game average that went up a few ticks when Bo Hardigree took over the Raiders in 2023?
I mean, I want to give everybody a glorious answer, but I've talked to two different guys that were on that team, one of which I consider a very close friend. And I asked the question, what changed? And he said, we got together as a group of men and we said, we're going to decide what the rest of this season looks like. Nobody else. And we're going to decide if we look like a bunch of asses or if we go out and we play like everything's on the line. We as a locker room are going to decide. I think it is the closest I've ever heard of a locker room basically having their own mutiny and saying, we're going to do what we want, how we want, when we want to turn this thing around. And that's the way they did it. And unfortunately, like that, again, not a great answer for anybody. But at that time, what you had was Antonio Pierce taking over the job. It looked like everything was just sort of falling apart, and the team came together. And that's who's the guy? Who is the dog in that locker room right now that's going to bring the entire locker room together and say, we will fight to execute better? Because coaching is part of this. Yes, absolutely. But it's trickled down all the way through. Like, players are responsible for not executing plays, right? Like, at some level, it's at every portion of this. And you have to have somebody that can come into the butts of every person in that locker room and say, not here, not this group, not me, not you. Accountability is left and right. And like, that's the thing that I think we miss so often is like, accountability in a locker room is about you do your job, I do my job, we trust each other. Bo Hardigree did a really nice job against a level of the schedule that gave them a little bit of love, a little bit of opportunity. He did a nice job there. But I've talked to players that were on that football team, and never once did I hear, they finally got it. I will say there was a sense of like the head coach understood us more. We felt more empowered to be ourselves. All of those things did make a difference, but I've never once had either of the guys that I've talked to that were on the team say, wow, there was a schematic difference that changed our fortune.
Jason Fitz here with us on 104.5 The Zone. Typically Tuesdays, Fitzy has been kind to adjust for our sake because it has been a very busy news week. Brian Callahan is still the head coach of this football team. We will see what happens in Houston against the 0-3 Texans when the 0-3 Titans travel down there. Houston, to the ownership, is the most important regular season game of the year. At Houston is the most important regular season game of the year, and she has made many decisions based on how a team performs at Houston. I don't know what's going to happen here, Fitzy, but I can't think of anything worse, honestly, if they are trending towards removing this coach who has already had play calling taken away from him, even though he keeps saying he gave it up, and then defending his own play calling abilities in doing so, which begs the question, then why'd you give it up, bud? I can't think of anything worse, though, than them trending in a direction where they think this is not the right person for Cam Ward, the Titans beating a winless Texans team, and then deciding, sure, it's fine, he beat Houston. We can keep him a little longer. What sense would that make?
None. If you know it's time, it's like being in a bad relationship, right? Like, when it's time, you're just sort of delaying the inevitable because you don't want to eat alone that night. That's really what's happening here. Like, the Titans are delaying the inevitable because they don't want to have to go sit at a bar or restaurant by themselves. They feel weird doing it. Like, to your point, though, I think the opposite is more likely to happen here because this is a Texans team that has their backs against the wall. This is a Texans team whose offensive line has not played well enough at all, and it's raised real questions about C.J. Stroud. C.J. Stroud had one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen at the position, and now C.J. Stroud looks mid. Like I said going in on Yahoo Sports Daily, that the Jags-Texans game might be the two most mid and overranked teams, overrated teams that we talk about in a long time, because I'm not sure the Jags are really any good. I'm not sure the Texans are good enough this year, but they got playmakers. That's the thing. The Texans at least have pillars of talent that you can build around moving forward. And when you have that, There's a real advantage. If the Jags had won last week over the Texans, I would say they did win, sorry. If the Texans had won last week over the Jags, I think that maybe we would see this thing differently. But Baltimore's next week, man, if you're Houston, you know you have to get this game. Like, this is your only shot at staying competitive. I think we get the most juiced versions of the Texans. Like, they're going to come in and want to put the death stomp down immediately in this game. To your point, I wouldn't keep him if he won. I just think we should be asking the question, what happens if you lose by double digits? Because even though the Titans have been more competitive than final score shows in some of these games, I think the Texans are going to come out with the thunder of the gods.
The thunder of the gods. Jason Fitz with us on 104.5 The Zone.
Well, Fitz, on Saturday, we are spoiled by this college football slate.
Let's talk about good football, can we?
LSU at Ole Miss, Oregon's at Penn State, Alabama, Georgia at 6:30. Who are you most excited to learn about this weekend?
So, look, the one thing that we always say about Oregon, Penn State, the one thing we always say about Penn State is that James Franklin can't beat anybody that actually matters. Like, James Franklin truly is the kid in fifth grade that's been held back 3 times, and so he can beat all the other fifth graders. But if you actually put him against kids his own age, he gets his butt kicked. Like, James Franklin got nothing, right? So his record against 1 and 5 teams, terrible. 1 and 10, top 5 teams, I should say, top 10 teams, top 25. Keep going all the way down. So I think we do learn something about whether or not they can break through that. Oregon also the most slept on team I can remember in a long time. I think because a lot of changeover in their roster is part of it, but also they were undefeated last year and then lost because of a bad playoff draw. So I think we've sort of slept on Oregon. We'll learn something about both of those teams in that game, but there's no team under more pressure than Bama. Like, if Bama goes into this game against Georgia and gets their butts whipped, they're not going to be part of the college football playoff. Like, that's clear. And if you're Georgia and you're Kirby Smart, man, you know that. Like, you know coming in that you got the dogs and you got the people that can actually make this different. Like, I know Georgia last year, and this is simple, like Alabama beat them last year. For a half, I remember last year we were getting ready to do one of our Yahoo shows. We started to record our show early because at the end of the first half, that game was such a slaughter. And then we stopped and said, nope, we got to recalibrate the entire thing. This is not the Georgia football team last year that led the nation in dropped footballs, right? This is not the Georgia football team last year that looked a little weird under Carson Beck. I'm not sure how much we believe in Gunner yet, but I do think this is a big moment. Like, Georgia understands that they can put a cork in this thing for Alabama's season if they go out and just trash them. I'm genuinely curious to see if Alabama can handle that pressure, because certainly there is no Nick Saban, right? And so you ask yourself, which team do you trust more in this matchup? Which coach do you trust more in this matchup? Which offensive line do you trust more in this match? You keep going up and down the list. Like, as well as Ty Simpson has played at times, I think the only place you could maybe call a quarterback is maybe a push, is maybe at the quarterback position. But I really think Georgia has the edge all over the place here. How does Alabama play knowing that their backs are just up against a wall? That is going to be the most interesting result we get over the course of the weekend.
Well, everybody wrote their eulogy, Fitz, after week 1. The effort, the lack of physicality, loaded roster, but all of these things that we're still getting used to not seeing from an Alabama team. Where are you on it? Do you feel like, I think we had this discussion yesterday, do you feel like it's more likely that week 1 against FSU was a wake-up call that will snap this team into action, or is it more likely that that's just what they are in year 2 under Kalen DeBoer?
So I'm going to be a contrarian here for a second and just say, like, sports fans, college football fans will hate this. I don't care about history. I don't even really care in the modern college football landscape about last year. The way the transfer portal works now and the way NIL works, I don't really give a damn what happened last year. So if you take all of the stuff off the jerseys and all the history of Alabama, you take all that and you throw it away, and you just ask yourself who this Alabama team is, if you just give an honest assessment of who Alabama today is, they're a pretty good college football team in the SEC. They're the type of team that most years is going to compete for a college football playoff spot. They'll be right on the fringe. They no longer have that guy at coach. And as much as Kalen DeBoer was the coach of the year, they no longer have that guy that brings in whatever that level of it was that Saban had every week. Like, the concept, coaches can say all the time, we're 0-0 every week. It just makes you want to throw up. How many people actually believe that? But when you talk to people that played at Alabama for Saban, they did believe that. Like, there are certain principles that Saban hammered home that guys bought in on. Kalen DeBoer had tremendous success at Washington with guys that had been in his system for a very long time, with a quarterback that had played a lot of college football, and he took that to a national championship, and that's incredible. But is Kalen DeBoer that guy that can stand in front of a sideline and really preach like every single play, every single drive is a new drive? Can he do all of the little things that makes this team fired up at a different level? I think what we did when Kalen DeBoer came in was we undervalued the benefit that Nick Saban was to this team for a long time. Alabama today is a pretty good college football team that will find themselves in the range of somewhere between number 5 and number 15 most years. If Alabama fans could recalibrate to that expectation, they'd enjoy this journey a hell of a lot more. They're never going to do that. They expect that Alabama is the cream of the crop. The fact is, Georgia today is who Alabama thinks they are. And that's real. Georgia's a better program right now with a better head football coach.
Kalen DeBoer and Ashton Genty. Just lacking that it factor.
Oh, God.
Jason Fitz with us on the zone.
Let me just say this a second. You guys appreciate with the number one pick. I said this morning on Yahoo Sports Daily because everybody's talking about Travis Hunter's usage. Can we stop? 3 weeks in, like what do we actually know about NFL rookies 3 weeks in? I've seen Titans fans doing this on Twitter X too. Raiders fans are doing the same thing. They're judging an entire draft class based on 3 games. So to be clear, the kid was drafted in April. He moves, he figures out his life, he figures out what adult life looks like. He assimilates into a locker room that's nothing like what college football was like. And he has a couple of months of life to try and figure out an entire NFL playbook. And he's not successful in the first 3 weeks, and all of a sudden that means he's a bust? Like, just stop, y'all. Like, I understand we overcovered. I'm part of the problem. We overcovered the NFL draft. I love covering it. And so we know more about these prospects than ever when they come in. But my God, give it a year. Like, we don't even, like, this whole Dion coming out talking about how Travis Hunter's being used. We are 3 weeks in. Anybody on ESPN that wants to tell you right now that Cam Ward is or isn't a bust is full of crap. There's just no 2 ways, because there is no empirical evidence after 3 games that makes any case for anybody. New Orleans last year was 2-0 after 2 games, and they were averaging 40 points a game. Yeah. What the hell did that mean? Like, I just stop. Y'all are like, the need for immediate sort of gratification out of your draft class is one of the stupidest things we do in all the sports. It takes not even 1 year. Some of these guys aren't even where they need to be until year 2. Some of these guys have never even had trainers that teach them how to get in NFL shape until they get into year 2. Like, some of these guys have never worked with a dietitian. Look, Max Crosby had, I think, 5.5 sacks his first year. So does that mean he's a bust? I mean, what? Khalil Mack had, I think, under 5 sacks his first year. Does that mean he's a bust? Like, this is the stupidest thing we're doing as an NFL coach. Ashton Genty is going to be fine if the offensive line's ever fine. Cam Ward has a chance to be really good. And before we make any sweeping decisions on what the quarterback position is going to look like for the next decade, let's let the guy get through a whole season. Jeez.
How did you do that without not stopping for breath?
It's a talent, man. It's a talent. You're welcome.
At Jason Fitz is where you can follow along. Yahoo Sports Daily, Fox Sports Radio, Saturdays, 5 to 7 p.m. I saw somebody bring up, I think it was Tyler on our YouTube chat here, Fitzy. He says, what if Bama loses to Georgia and next week Vanderbilt is ranked higher in their matchup against the Crimson Tide?
Look, it's fool's gold to think that Vandy can do it twice in a row, right? But the reason we say that is because it's Vandy. Again, this is where brand bias just lives. Today, right now, I mean, is there any reason if Alabama goes out and gets boat raced by Georgia, then we have proof of concept on exactly who they are. Are we really 100%? If that happens, are we 100% sure that Bama is actually a better football team? Not better talent. We're not playing the video game version. Are they a better football team than Vandy? I mean, Clark Lee's got those guys absolutely humming. Diego is I think, one of the biggest stars in college football right now. But like, I want them to change all the rules so that Diego Pava can play for the next 15 years for Vandy. I've decided, let it be so. He deserves as long to get through Vandy as most medical students do, if that's what it takes for us to get more Diego. They've got the right combo. I think when you have the right combo of coaching quarterback, you have a chance in college football at an elite level. So to me, yeah, if Alabama gets absolutely destroyed this weekend, are we 100% sure that Vandy isn't a better football team? I'm 100% sure that Alabama's going to have revenge on their mind. But, okay, I can have revenge on my mind, too, if I want to go into a boxing match with an NFL player. It doesn't mean I'm not going to get my ass kicked. So, like, I do think that there's a level of – we talk about revenge. You think Vandy won't be fired up for that game in a week? So, look, I'm not counting anything out until Alabama actually shows us who they are against a real opponent. If they come out and they mollywop Georgia – I'll change my mind. I'll use that new evidence. Fine. But if they just come out and just get laid on the ground by Georgia, then, yeah, why not Vandy?
I'll see you Saturday, bud.
Can't wait. You know what? I can't promise I'll be this fired up, but I will have my little soapbox. I'll put my little. I'm a wee little man. I got to get on my soapbox to get my takes.
Dabo got the full brunt of the soapbox this past Saturday. You can check out me and Fitzy on Fox Sports Radio. There's a podcast as well. Just find it in the app wherever you get your podcast. Thank you, buddy. I'll talk to you this weekend.
Love you, Fitzy.
Thank you, boys. Love you guys. Have a great week. Enjoy talking about just all the chaos.
I suppose. That doesn't count. He said you guys.
No, he said it.
Counts.
He said love you. He said
counts.
love you. It totally counts.
It does.
Look
Are you
at him
going to do this to
smiling.
Nate Washington every week?
Look at him smile. I'm going to do it to everybody. We need more positivity. We need more love.
We just need more college football, I think. Like that's got to be the pivot here, right?
Well, let's do some of that.
It's the first. It's the first excitement I've seen on Lucas's face all week. 615-737-1045. We'll get to your phone calls and also talk about the Vols and their upcoming opponent on the road this week. I'm Buck Rising. It's 1045 The Zone. Trajan Wealth is your resource for better wealth management strategies, for better tactical investments, for better retirement planning. They are here to help you on all of those fronts and so many more, just like they have with every one of their clients. Trajan Wealth knows how unpleasant it can be to deal with financial insecurity, and you're trying to get financially independent. As a veteran, Trajan Wealth CEO Jeff Jr. fully appreciates the importance of true independence. He founded Trajan Wealth as an independent firm, allowing fiduciary advisors the ability to customize a portfolio to meet your unique goals and needs. So call Trajan Wealth today to discuss options for achieving financial independence. 615-270-5000. 615-270-5000. 2 locations here in Middle Tennessee, Brentwood and Franklin, or online at TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is a paid advertisement. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. We're going to talk about the Vols. They're on the road at Mississippi State, which looked like a gimme at the start of the year. Less so. Mississippi State undefeated at this point in time. Talk about that here in just a second. Joe in Atlanta has been waiting patiently, so we'll start with Joe. What's up?
What's going on, guys?
Not much.
I was calling because, Buck, last night I was listening to your epic rant about the Tennessee Titans, and, I felt bad for you. And here's the deal. I just want to take some time this morning and just thank you for what you're doing. It's actually probably more entertaining than the Titans themselves. I really appreciate you being on the radio and doing a good job. So.
Well, thanks for the call. I appreciate it, Joe. Well, the situation for Titans media, I think, has been really cool to see, like Kaharski and Tehran and everybody, Teresa, everybody, Terry McCormick, like everybody who's at these press conferences every day, like not letting them off the hook. And yeah, I did, I had a bit of a yelling and screaming thing last night on primetime. And I get, I don't have Lucas there to kind of talk me off the edge, so I can spin out a little harder on primetime than I do on a radio show. But yeah, we're tired of it too. I think that's all it comes down to is just we're tired of bad football and people that make excuses for bad football and people who don't answer questions about why they're bad at football.
I kept waiting for the other end of the foot to drop, the shoe to drop, where he's like, yeah, I appreciate you being on the radio all the time, but you stink, you're fat, you're ugly, bye.
Well, they're not talking about you.
Well, I assumed they would hit you over the head with something.
Talk to me about why Tennessee doesn't win on the road under Josh Heupel.
Nope, no one's going to talk about anything.
Well, they do is the thing, but there have been instances where it's come back to bite them. Adam Sparks of Knox News put together in an article at Adam Sparks every road record for each SEC team in conference since the start of the Heupel era in 2021. Where do you think Tennessee has ranked in terms of their record on the road against conference opponents in the Heupel era?
Out of
the entire SEC.
So that would not include Texas and Oklahoma? Because he predates them.
It includes Texas and Oklahoma.
Okay. I'll say 10th?
Fifth. Tennessee under Heupel is 7-9 on the road.
Okay.
In the SEC. They rank behind Georgia, who is 13-2, Alabama, who is 10-6. Again, this is since 2021. Ole Miss, who is 9-8, and LSU, who is 8-8. So they have largely taken care of business on the road, but every season there has been a slip up against a road team. And the other knock on Heupel is he has yet to go on the road into a hostile environment against an elite team, a Georgia and Alabama, and get that kind of win. That has escaped him so far. The win over Georgia, period, and that big marquee road win has escaped Josh Heupel. His best road win would be 2022 at LSU, which was a good LSU team that won the SEC West, but it was about midseason before we knew what LSU was. It was a number 11 Tennessee team against an unranked LSU team. Early kickoff where the Vols just jumped on them early and routed them in Baton Rouge. But anytime you win in Death Valley, obviously that's a notch on your belt. All that to say, there have been these slip-ups in 2022. South Carolina, obviously. Spencer Rattler and the Gamecocks hanging 60, essentially eliminating Tennessee from the college football playoff, then 4 teams. 2023, Florida, going down to Gainesville in a game where Tennessee was favored, in a game where Tennessee was just outside of the top 10, and that wasn't exactly an inspiring Florida team under Billy Napier. And in 2024, obviously, the Arkansas game comes to mind. Nico didn't have a good performance. The Nico running out of bounds game with zeros on the clock instead of putting the ball in the end zone. And South Carolina finishing that game with a backup after Taylon Green got hurt at quarterback. And so, naturally, the worry for Tennessee fans, the BVS, is, okay, Mississippi State has the biggest opportunity to be that slip-up game for Tennessee this season. Because otherwise, you're going on the road to Alabama. You're going to Florida. These are games that are easy to get up for. These are games that fans are already bracing themselves for. But Tennessee fans are immediately looking at this and saying, I hope this isn't Arkansas 2024 or South Carolina 2022.
Yeah, but you got a quarterback that can elevate you. Nico couldn't.
Exactly. So that's what makes this matchup different. And Mississippi State is an improved football team from last year, no question. Blake Shapen being healthy at quarterback is a big part of that. They're a little bit more talented. It was an impressive win against Arizona State. We still have a lot to learn about Arizona State, who is not the same team as they were last year, winning the Big 12 with Cam Scadaboo running all over the place and catching passes and all these things. But this has a chance to be a fun game. I mean, the dynamics, the narratives are there. You've got Jeff Lebby, the head coach at Miss State, who is a bit of a Heupel protege. Heupel gave him one of his first big jobs as the offensive coordinator at UCF, and Lebby's had a nice career since then. He's been the OC at Ole Miss, at Oklahoma, coaching Dylan Gabriel, and now getting his head coaching opportunity. Tennessee favored by 8.5 on the road at Davis-Wade Stadium in this game. Good uniform game. Mississippi State whiteout, Tennessee going with the orange breeches.
It didn't... who was it that was saying, was it you maybe earlier in the week, talking about that they didn't think through the whiteout, considering that there will be orange likely in the crowd, so that they're kind of going orange and white at Mississippi State Stadium?
That's a great point.
I'm sure Mississippi State will have a good crowd. I can't remember who brought that up to me.
That's a good point.
The other day.
The crowd's literally going to be orange and white.
Was it not your point?
No, I never said. I'm not smart enough to say that.
Surely it wasn't you.
No, I knew it couldn't have been yours. You had to hear it from someone else.
That's right. But yeah, I think this game, I'm intrigued. Jeff Lebby's offense is about the same as the Heupel offense in terms of how they run it. They've got some speed on the outside. They're nowhere near the depth up front that Tennessee has and just across the board. So, yes, this is a game that Tennessee should win comfortably, and it is a Tennessee team where the confidence in the quarterback situation is as high as it's been since the Hendon Hooker days. I think it's apples and oranges to compare it to those recent slip-up games, but it's easy to fall into that, given that this is that one game where maybe Florida down the road this year, but Gainesville is its own story. This is that one road game where Tennessee is going to be favored and expected to win by multiple scores. So do they go down there? Do they cover the 8.5, or do they continue this momentum on offense with Joey Aguilar, who has 12 touchdown passes through 4 games?
Big number on the road in the SEC. I'd still probably like Tennessee to win because I trust their quarterback more than the former 5-star that they had behind center. But I just, on the road in conference against a team that's playing well, and again, the quality of those opponents obviously can be talked about at length. Tyler Dial with a couple of comments that I think are worth reading here on YouTube. He says, I'll be honest, the BVS is starting to creep up on this one way more than it ever did Georgia week. And he says, also, I like Ramon's idea of all the Vols fans making the trip, bringing their own cowbells for when Mississippi State is on offense. I did not hear Ramon say that, but that's excellent.
It's a great idea. Great idea. I've been to Davis-Wade Stadium. It's a cool environment.
How many SEC stadiums have you been to? So you've been to South Carolina.
Been to South Carolina. I've been to Davis-Wade. I've been to Bryant-Denny. I've been to Jordan-Hare. And I've been to Vanderbilt, but it was for a U2 concert, not a football game. So
U2 at Vandy is kind of crazy.
I know, right? You would think they would have played at Nissan. This was this might have been 2012. Yeah. My dad and I went to that concert. Great show, the 360 tour. So, yeah, Tyler brings up the injury report that there were some upgrades there for Tennessee. David Sanders, questionable, the 5-star right tackle that still hasn't played, and defensive tackle Jackson Boyd, probable for this game. And he posted something on his Instagram that makes it look like he's going to come back, so Tennessee will be a little bit more closer to full strength up front. Jerron McCoy not going to play. Ricky Gibson not going to play. Gibson, it seems like, might be out for the season. McCoy looks like he's targeting an Arkansas return, according to On3 Sports, later this season. So Tennessee looking to avoid a slip-up, looking to continue the momentum, and Joey Aguilar looking to climb those Heisman boards. You can hear that game right here on the Zone. Vol Network with Mike Keith and Ramon Foster, 3:15 kickoff.
What a delight.
So are you going to go to Tractor Supply and get some cowbells to fund some balls?
Me?
Yeah. I think that'd be a nice philanthropy opportunity for you.
Where does one find a Tractor Supply?
They're all over the Middle Tennessee.
Is that where the last remote that I was willing to do, that I decided I wasn't going to do any more remotes, were we at Tractor Supply, or was there somewhere else? Because there were tractors there.
No, that was not a Tractor Supply. That was Dickens Landscaping Supply. See, at Tractor Supply, if you do go, you can get me a duck, because they have ducks right now.
What would you do with a duck except feed it to your cat?
I would have backyard ducks. I would have Daffy and Donald.
Man,
what do you mean?
Ducks are awesome.
You have to buy 2 though. So if you go, they're only $9. Go buy me 2 ducks, please.
$9 a duck.
Yes.
That is insanely cheap.
Or Buck's Ducks. That would be great too. Have them live in your backyard.
It's not safe for them back there. It's a war zone back there.
You think that they'd be taken captive by your cats?
They would be terrorized by the cats. Yes.
I had bird feeders out there, and all of a sudden I kept finding dead hummingbirds and dead robins and stuff like that.
One time when I lived in Bellevue and Leo used to go outside all the time, I caught him terrorizing a whole family of ducks.
Oh.
So, yeah, avoid that.
They can fight back. Anyway.
Cam Ward spoke yesterday about the change in his play caller. We will also get to that L'Jarius Sneed sound we promised you earlier but didn't get to. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Erectile dysfunction can wreck your confidence. It can impact your relationship, your mental health, and even your sense of identity. But there's good news. There's real help. Since 2014, the Tennessee Men's Clinic has helped thousands of guys get back to feeling like themselves. These aren't cookie-cutter treatments. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is urology-based and staffed with multiple licensed providers who specialize in men's sexual health. They use proven treatments tailored to your specific situation. No one size fits all. Too many guys rely on pills that don't work or come with nasty side effects. There are better treatments. Sometimes it's a combination of those things that finally unlock the results that you've been missing. Your initial appointment is only $99 and includes a full medical consultation, blood work, and if medically advised, a test dose right there in the office. So call them today and stop procrastinating. 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090 or book easily online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
12:03, good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. Titans had a walkthrough on Wednesday as they prepare to play at the Texans. On Sunday, the injury report is an estimation, but did have quarterback Cam Ward listed as limited with an ankle/calf. J.C. Latham, Khalil Mullings, and Bryce Oliver did not practice. Right guard Kevin Zeitler did return in a limited capacity. In Houston, star cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. did not practice with an oblique injury. Thursday night football, the Seahawks and Cardinals face off. It is an NFC West matchup. Winner gets to 3-1 on the season. Kickoff at 7:15. Catch the Westwood One coverage right here on The Zone. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Final hour is upon us, and Cam Ward has a change in his play caller. It is his quarterback's coach, and we talked to Cam Ward about that yesterday. We will hear from him. We will also get to L'Jarius Sneed, the Titans corner, oft injured, but has been available lately. Did not play terribly well against the Colts after having a decent day against the Los Angeles Rams. Now they travel to Houston to face the 0-3 Texans. Will their fortunes change if they can beat Houston? Will much be made about the fact that they went to Houston and won like last year, and then they proceeded to do absolutely nothing for the rest of the season? Who could say? But I suppose that's why they play the games. Now, when they play the games, normally the Titans lose. But lately, so do the Texans. So somebody's got to come out of this thing looking better than the other one, unless Lucas gets his way, and we spend all week talking about this, and we end up with a 6-6 tie, which will make me require self-harm watch.
Last Titans win came in Houston.
God.
A trend, some are saying.
That's so long ago.
Week 12 last season.
End of November last year? I suppose they have lost, what is it? Is it 8 straight, 9 straight now? The last time they won a game was at Houston is crazy. And they talked about how much it meant to the owner, and everybody made a big deal. And then again, they did not win a game since then. So maybe in this particular situation, it will be different. I am skeptical. But Cam Ward is going to be receiving the play call from quarterbacks coach Bo Hardigree. Now, Brian Callahan is still involved in the play calling process. And some among you would say, well, is he really even giving up play calling? He was always going to be a part of the play calling process. It's just now Bo Hardigree physically getting the play to Cam Ward. Cam Ward was asked about the relationship with Bo Hardigree and the nature of the change yesterday at the press conference. Robert, if you are ready for that.
I think it's going to be great. He understands the offense just as a whole. He understands, where my head is at, just what I see on the field. But I think he's had experience, with the Raiders. He's been around some great quarterbacks and players there. But I just think the biggest thing about Bo is that he's going to put us all in a situation, especially today, just finally listen to him, say the play call. Play calls just coming in. Me thinking, watching more film with him, just what he's thinking. Then also Coach Callahan having his input on it.
How would you describe, Cam, your relationship, interaction with him since you got here, even maybe dating back to your pro day at Miami?
Well, it's been good. He's one of the first ones who hit me up in the pre-draft process. I talked to him a lot of phone calls, a lot of installs with Bo throughout the pre-draft process. So I have a great relationship with him. I meet with him every day. He knows where my mind is and how I feel space on the field. And I just think he's going to be a good, addition for us.
Cam, you had talked about wanting stability here with this team. The fact that it's Bo and you have worked with him so much help with that stability even with this change?
I think it will. Even before, I just think stability is what gets good, franchise clubs to the top of the NFL. A lot of the best teams in the league have stability in the building, whether it's the coaching staff, whether it's not the coaching staff, but the the standpoint of it, the people who's been there for a long time, they know how it's supposed to run. And the staff we have here is great. So us making this change, it's not going to make a big difference on how we think as an offense, how we think as a building. We're just going to go play football.
All right, so that's Cam Ward talking about Bo Hardigree, the relationship with Bo Hardigree. Seems like Bo's been very involved, as you would expect him to be, in the pre-draft process, and that was all well documented, and Cam just lending his voice more to it. There was also some discussion. Brian Callahan mentioned that they had not made a determination officially whether Bo Hardigree would continue to be on the sideline or in the booth. Cam Ward was asked about that yesterday. He said, I have no preference whatsoever. Whatever works better for Bo. So I don't imagine that you need both Nick Holtz and Bo Hardigree in the booth. I would think that it would make more sense to just leave Bo Hardigree where he is and let Nick Holtz do what he needs to do, or whatever it is that he's doing up in the box, providing an additional set of eyes. Brian Callahan down there as well. But Cam, to his point, said no preference. The only thing that can be relied upon, there's two things about the Titans organization that can be relied upon lately. It's Cam Ward being calm and collected, and Jim Wyatt. That's the list. The ability of Cam Ward to maintain his situation or his demeanor, his approach, no matter what the circumstances have been in the early going, is admirable. And it's one of the reasons why you make him the number one overall pick, because he's got the correct demeanor to have to, tough through a lot of this stuff. But I don't know, Lucas, if you were paying attention or looking at what you wanted for lunch when we were playing the Cosell stuff earlier.
A little bit of both.
Okay, that's fine. Where Greg said that if the poor offensive line play continues, that it can cause Cam to develop or become more entrenched in habits that he needs to get out of.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that's a concern anytime you have a young, talented rookie quarterback that's in a not-so-good situation. Yeah, to your point, it is good to see the same Cam Ward in the midst of the chaos that has been this week with the Titans organization and this season. We just know what this season is, right? And so I think you can take some solace in that if you're a Titans fan, that the same Cameron Ward's going to continue to show up at these press conferences, going to continue to exude that confidence. But yeah, of course, that's what you worry about from an offensive line play perspective, from just the type of games that they get into with how often they're chasing and the way that he might have to be pressing week in and week out. Does that kind of seep into his instincts as a quarterback? That's a concern with Cam Ward. That was a concern last year with Caleb Williams. Like any young quarterback that you're leaning on.
Happened to Daniel Jones. I didn't think Daniel Jones was fixable for as much damage as he took in New York, and now look at him.
And what's crazy is how good he is against the blitz this year, where with the Giants, he was just scrambled just constantly. And he's back there calm, cool, and collected. So Cam Ward's demeanor does feel particularly good for this kind of situation, to survive this kind of situation and still be a good player, but it is incumbent on the Titans to improve around him. And that's the thing that you fear. They now are down another cornerback, as we've talked about constantly for the last 24 hours. The list, and I've seen Kaharski pointing this out, like the list of needs is growing.
Yeah.
It's not shrinking. How many off seasons are we going to go into with this phrase that we've used for the last 2-3 off seasons, which is you can't fix it all in one off season? It feels like we're doing that every year.
I am done making excuses for a front office who is now chipping away at the things that they had, as opposed to fortifying their depth. Like, frankly, just because they don't speak, they don't get as much heat, but
yeah,
they're as culpable.
Like, think about the needs for next year. Like, okay, let's even play it conservative, right? Like, let's put left tackle over here. Dan Moore Jr., you gave him a big contract. He's probably going to be your left tackle next year. Right tackle, you've got J.C. Latham, right? But right guard, Kevin Zeitler's on a 1-year deal. But, all right, you've got Jackson Slater waiting in the wings and hope you can get something out of him.
Still.
But you just continue to go down the list. You need more receiver help. You definitely are going to need more cornerback help.
I'm sure Calvin Ridley's good done after this year.
You
can get out from under that contract.
Yeah, you need one, maybe two, probably two edge rushers that can affect the quarterback next year. You can just keep going on and on and on. And
no, their whole thing is we'll find them, which is why they were comfortable letting Jarvis Brownlee go, because they want to be, they want to be the people that fix this. And that's fine. Like, as long as you have a sound process in place. And listen, based on the draft class that they currently have, it's a 3-game sample size, so we're not going to overreact. And it's not like Alec Iamaner or Gunnar Helm or Cam Ward is a perfect prospect by any stretch of the imagination, but so far the early returns are promising. But also, the roster is terrible. Like, somebody has to show some level of competency around here, and it just so happens to be the young guys. If they start, like, say things get bad enough and we're around the trade deadline and Jeff's up, it's going to find another Jeff Simmons.
Right.
With your first-round draft capital, your high first-round draft capital. I know people are looking at the Ruben Bain guy out of Miami and excited about the idea of adding a pass rusher because we're already talking about draft here in Nashville. But that is also the difficulty of selling assets, is that there are some things on this roster that should be able to work better. Jarvis Brownlee was one of them. And now they have created yet another need and having the general manager the last time that he spoke after roster cut day saying it's as difficult as any position to nail down cornerback and offensive tackle.
And I guess their hope is Jalen Armour-Davis will step in and be the next Jarvis Brownlee Jr. or Marcus Harris. And if that happens, then okay, then I guess you didn't create that need. But we felt like we knew that they had something with Jarvis Brownlee, and now we're back to, okay, do they have something there in that spot?
Somebody said this yesterday. Duck Falling on YouTube said this yesterday, and it made me laugh. It's probably the best comment I've seen in the F&M Bank chat. Something to the effect of, none of this would have happened if they just re-signed Jack Conklin.
The first domino, huh?
I mean, it does feel that way.
Question, do we believe the decision to remove play calling from Brian Callahan is more about his play calling or how much play calling, the bandwidth of calling plays for him has affected the in-game decision-making?
The latter.
Yeah, I would also say the latter.
The latter. But, I also don't believe him when he's saying that it was exclusively his decision to make that call and then he's getting defensive about his ability to call plays.
No, like I do get the optics of saying, all right, I'm giving up play calling. Oh, but I had no issue with the play calling.
I was great.
But I also believe that there could be less of an issue with the play calling and more of an issue with it impacting the head coaching duties.
I don't have a problem with the offense. I have a problem with the offense getting as many penalties as they do. And
so you agree with Brian Callahan?
Well, yeah, I don't think he's as big a problem as fans think he is. But you cannot defend the amount of in-game mistakes that he has made. Like, those things will ramp up the intensity on him. I just don't think that their offense is operable when they're constantly playing in third and 8 plus, not even 3rd and 6 plus. I don't know what their average third down is right now, but I don't imagine it's gotten much better after 3rd and 9.9 or whatever it was going into the Colts game. Graham is in Nashville up next.
How y'all doing?
Good.
So I'm very confused about Callahan relinquishing play calling to Bo Hardigree. We have an offensive coordinator who Callahan played high school football with conveniently, and obviously he doesn't trust this offensive coordinator to call plays. Can you just speak to how many other teams maybe have a quarterback's coach calling plays instead of an offensive coordinator, and maybe why that is, or what is he doing? Like you said, is he just sitting up in the booth? Is Bo Hardigree going to go up with him? Who knows? Thanks.
Yeah, I don't have that answer for you. I mean, this is a unique situation, yeah, right, where you have a head coach who's specifically there to call the plays, and now he's relinquishing play calling because he's trying to save his ass.
I think Zach was saying that Nathaniel Hackett did this in Denver.
As a quarterback's coach?
No, he, as the head coach, gave play calling duties to the quarterback's coach because his offensive coordinator, wasn't it Justin Otten?
Oh,
who was
the former Titans
coach here.
Running back coach? He was the running back coach, and then he was the tight end coach, and then he went somewhere else. I can't remember where he ended up. He's not on the staff anymore. Go ahead, Robert.
In a roundabout way, this is kind of how Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator Joe Brady got his job.
Yeah.
But they fired the OC, promoted him, and then he stayed the OC.
And he's doing a nice job.
Now, the only differentiation between Nick Holtz and Bo Hardigree that we know is that Bo Hardigree has called plays before, and Nick Holtz has not called plays before. But it's a fair question to ask. Callahan didn't want to expand really on it. He said that Holtz handled it professionally when they essentially passed him over for play calling duties. It makes both of them infinitely more dispensable with Brian Callahan and Nick Holtz, because if you're just going to pass over Nick Holtz for Bo Hardigree, then what do I need a Nick Holtz for? All right, we will get to Nate Washington. Nate Washington has many thoughts on all of this stuff. The former Titans wide receiver joins us next. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Is our guy there? Nate Washington there? Oh, it makes me so happy. I've been waiting for this all week. At NWash85. How we living, my guy?
Man, I'm living the best way I can right now after Sunday, but you know how it goes.
Do I know how it goes, please? At this point, Nate, I would like to just generally open the floor for you to give your thoughts about the state of the organization that you played a good chunk of your career for, because there are many, many things that we can drill down on specifically, but you have to have thoughts about the way that this thing is being handled top to bottom, no?
Of course. First and foremost, I think it's important for me to establish, I am in great appreciation for the Adams family, their organization, what they've been able to do through my personal life, the city of Nashville, to bring football there and those things. But, you have to question, do they have a clear and decisive approach about the end goal, which is the Lombardi? I don't think that they do. I was fortunate enough to play for multiple organizations and, playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers, even coming from Tiffin University, walking in that organization, you knew what the expectation was. It was going to be a physical blue-collar football team that was willing to get their hands dirty by any means to win a football game. That was the expectation. That was the culture. And I think, in that you have guys that come into the Steelers organization with an understanding that regardless of talent, you're going to work your tail off here and do the right things on the field to give us an opportunity to win. That's always been the expectation and the culture there. And I think coming here, they're just still trying to put things together. I hate to say that this organization is young, but, established in 99 and coming to Nashville and trying to get this ball rolling, they're still 25, 26 years and trying to establish a culture, a tradition, understanding what they stand for and how they're going to approach each year going into a Lombardi. And I think that starts at the top. I want to commend Miss Amy for a lot of the changes that this organization has gone through over the most recent years. A lot of the stadium now coming and a lot of the locker room changes and changes to the approach to the front office personnel. But even in a sense, you look at last offseason and the amount of probable GMs that they hired, it's just no clear direction on who's calling the shots, what the leadership looks like, and what the end goal of that direction is going to be. I think that causes a huge problem when you have so many voices at the end of the day that make decisions on what the outcome of this organization is going to be. It has to be one or two people that are calling the shots and making sure that they stand on their word and going down with the ship, if that's so be it.
There's a lot to unpack there specifically, Nate, because the stadium is a good thing, and that is a commitment to football long-term in Tennessee. But it's also, if at the end of the day, the bright, shiny new stadium is lipstick on a pig, what do you have to show for it? They are chipping away at their fan base.
I totally agree with you, bro. I totally agree with you. And that's why, you want to give kudos to where kudos is due. I'm sure the new stadium will be that nice, pretty lipstick on that pig. But at the end of the day, this product upon which this team has been going out and performing has been unacceptable. I feel like I personally can say that because I was on the roster when we were 0-6. I understood the position that we were in at that time of trying to gel a bunch of new guys into a system that had already been established. Us all trying to learn and understand our roles and make sure we're going out and producing. But, one of the things that I heard from Coach, and I don't know if you guys are getting into this later, is, the approach of who's going to be more desperate was never our understanding, leaving that locker room. We never were in desperation. We were in understanding that we were one or two plays away from winning these ball games. And correcting those mistakes were the most important things for us to find a win moving forward into those next weeks.
Now, I'm so glad you brought that up because I haven't gotten to that yet today. And that question was asked of the quarterback who does not play in a desperate fashion. Cam Ward is anything but desperate, gives off anything but desperate. The head coach very much gives off desperate, and you understand why those things are at odds with each other. But when Cam was asked that question, he kind of he didn't dismiss the idea of desperation, but you can tell that he's not wired that way, Nate. And those are the kind of things that you worry about, the messaging, the bad habits that can be picked up over time if you are playing football for a bad organization that isn't prepared to support you the way that you need to be supported. And so I'm very glad that you pointed that specifically out.
Definitely, it's important, Buck, because, one common goal amongst successful and winning organizations is establishing their identity, understanding upon no matter if the win, lose, or draw, this is how we approach the game, this is how we will be successful. And at the very moment you become a desperation type of team, then you have no identity. And it's been obvious. I've watched this team now for 3 weeks and I've been patient on it, but I think that's the nail in the coffin for them. They don't have an identity. They come out each week playing not to lose instead of winning the ball game. In the old words of Dennis Green, you play to win the game. And I don't feel like, they're coming out from the kickoff playing to win the game. They're playing not to lose, trying not to make mistakes, trying not to go out and underperform. But at that time, that's when those things are going to happen. And until they have the identity to go out and establish who they are with their hard-fought work and show their identity, they're going to continue to go through these problems.
Nate the Great, Nate Washington, here with us on 104.5 The Zone, as he is each Thursday at this time.
So we haven't gotten to this yet, Nate, and I'm not sure. I'm sure you've seen this at some point or another on social media. But, Robert, can we hear from L'Jarius Sneed in the locker room yesterday when being asked about defending Texans wide receiver Nico Collins?
Nico Collins this week. Who? Nico.
Thank you. Okay, so who? The answer. All right, now can we hear?
But he did it twice. It's worth it. He was asked the question twice. The reporter didn't understand that he was doing a thing.
He was doing a bit. He didn't, and he finished it out. Now can we hear from Nico Collins when asked about L'Jarius Sneed, responding with the question who?
So thoughts on going against Sneed on the other side?
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Can't wait for the matchup. Can't wait to get back on the field with the guys and play again. That's the most important thing I'm most excited about, getting back at that with my teammates and my brothers. Going there, rocking out, getting our swag back.
He was asked about you, and he said who a couple times today.
Okay. Yeah, he knows who I am.
So that's Nico Collins in response. Nate, have you ever had something like this, a cornerback that you were getting ready to face, having that sort of discourse in the locker room? And what is your reaction to that? And is there anything you could think of from your time as a player?
Oh, it's a part of the game, man. I think the trash talking in the media has definitely incited within recent years due to social media. You get a little bit of trending name and everything picks up for you. But it's always been there. It's a part of the game. It's a part of the believing in self. It's a part of going out and telling your opponent that he's not better than you. It's no different for boxers. It's his press conference leading up to the fight in a lot of ways. So, I would expect this. At the end of the day, though, the game has to be played, so I hope those words come from Sneed with his actions on the field Sunday, though they're going to be much needed.
Yeah, it's a say less, do more type of situation if you're a Titans player. But, the Texans are in a bad situation too, Nate. This is a team that was picked to win the division, that was expected to compete at the top of the conference with the Chiefs and the Ravens and the Bills of the world, even if they are lesser than those teams that we just named. And the Ravens and Chiefs not off to a great start. I know Robert's ready for the Chiefs-Ravens game over the weekend, which would be a fascinating matchup to talk about at some point this week. But I think in particular, when you see some of the errors that they're making defensively, Nate, and you see that they traded away Jarvis Brownlee, who, again, not a perfect person from a behavioral standpoint, nor is he the best corner in the world by any stretch of the imagination. But when they start to chip away at the locker room too by giving away talented young players without a reasonable explanation, what does that say to you as a former player and somebody who's been in locker rooms where guys have been traded? Once again, we go back to establishing an identity, and it's a desperation right now. It's reflected in the front office. It's obvious that they aren't truly confident in what they have right now outside of Jeffrey Simmons and Cam Ward, right?
in saying that, though, as you stated, you have to have a clear direction upon how you want to address these trades. And looking at the Brownlee trade, I believe, my opinion is that, the potential was there. The potential was for a long-term cornerback that could evolve, not only on the field, but off the field, maturing as long as you put the right veterans around him and the right coach in order to lead him. Somewhere he's a young guy, so he's going to need direction. So with that being said, to allow him to leave your organization with really and truly, in my opinion, no return. You got an overperforming 5th round draft pick leaving your organization with a 7th round draft pick, and you're getting a 6th back. I don't understand that, and once again, I truly just feel like it all boils down to establishing the identity. I feel like it reflects not only on this team, but in the front office. And until they establish an identity upon how they want to approach a Lombardi, I just feel like these things will be constant, and this will be only the beginning.
When you visited with us last week, you were, I thought, very diplomatic in your criticism of Calvin Ridley, but the summary was that a reality check was needed for a veteran whose leadership is being, whose leadership is desperately needed and whose production is desperately needed. Somebody who wears a captaincy on his chest on game days. He did not, again, perform up to expectation. He's only credited with 1 drop in this past game, Nate, but there were opportunities for him to make a play like a $92 million wide receiver. And I hate to reduce things for guys in their performance just to the amount of money that they make. I don't think that's a fair way to do the analysis, but we are 3 weeks in, and we are still waiting for Calvin Ridley to have a meaningful impact in a game beyond a few catches halfway through the second quarter that don't end up mattering down the stretch because he's not there to make a play at the end.
I went and looked at the film again. I even kudos to the other reporters and those that are posting clips on Twitter, because regardless if they're posting the correct caption or not, it gives me the ability to see some things that I may not have seen before. And, the number one thing that I come to a conclusion with this situation is this: I see a lack of confidence. His confidence is truly wavered. The plays that I've seen are not only drops, but in a lot of times he's fading away from the ball. And when you have guys fading away from the ball, that means, not having the confidence to attack it. It's telling me that you're just trying your best just to make a play. You're hoping and you're wishing that you can fall back from it and you can either tip it and you can make a couple catches, but it's not working out. And when I seen the tip pass when he was in the slot this weekend and the tip pass went and he dropped the tip, I said, oh man, I knew right then and there. I said, his confidence is wavered, and being a player that has stood in front of the media before, you want to say all of the right things. You want to say all of the, I'm moving forward, I'm letting it go, but you still got to go play the game. And if you're questioning yourself out there as not only a receiver, but a $96 million man with the captaincy on his chest, it is an end for disaster for you. You have to, what you say is what you preach. And you have to go out there and do exactly what you're talking about doing. You have to go out there and do those things, which is letting it go and moving forward. And I just don't think he's done that. I think he's still carrying the weight of possibly being in this position before. He hasn't been in this position before in his career. And I can reflect on 2009 when I left Pittsburgh and came to the Titans after signing a big deal and being in Indianapolis. And I remember running a post route, and man, I was wide open by myself. Nobody within maybe 10 yards of myself. And that ball went right through my hands. Whoosh, right? And I heard the crowd in the uproar, and they were laughing and those things. And I remember after the game, we flew back home, and I got off the plane, and I was going to my car, and I was almost ready to cry. And Jeff Fisher came up to me and said, Nate, listen, I see you have been carrying a lot of weight. Let it go and play the game that you've always known. And that conversation in that parking lot meant a lot to me. You know what I'm saying? It was allowing me to now mold myself into this new position that I hadn't been in and actually moving forward and producing into the career that I had with the Titans. And that's why I spoke previously on his connection with the coaches. I don't know if anyone's seeing him like that. I don't understand if this is going to continue, but whether it's him, whether it's someone in the locker room, a teammate, a coach, someone is going to have to help him get his confidence together because it's lacking.
He was brought in by Rand Carthon, who could relate directly to him and who was able to establish a relationship with him. And then Rand Carthon was fired. So I'm not saying that the job that Rand Carthon was doing at the time was not was good enough to continue to do the job. I'm just saying that there were reasons that Calvin Ridley came here that are no longer here at this point. And it seems that as one of the few veterans on a very young roster with not many experienced players, he seems to lack that support system, to your point. Buddy, it's always good to visit with you. And the audience greatly appreciates your insight and your analysis, and we look forward to your visits each and every week. Thanks for doing it.
Oh, man, I'm looking forward to it too, guys. You and Lucas are very dope, man. I've been paying attention more even when I'm not on here, so I enjoy it, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, eat it, Bert.
Still love you, Nate.
Still loves you.
That's Nate Washington with us on 104.5 The Zone. Last call for phone calls if you got them. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show. Last call for phone calls if you got them. I want to go to a Paramore concert again. That was so much fun. They don't really perform that often, do they?
Right around the corner.
What do you mean right around the corner?
They live here.
Well, yeah, but they're not. You're going to hit them up and be like, hey, can we come to a concert at your house? It doesn't help me go to a Paramore concert. Who had more fun at that Paramore concert at Bonnaroo?
I don't remember. I hope it was me.
You were too busy picking things up off the ground and eating them.
No.
Well, you were hoping that they were, whatever it is that people drop on the ground at Bonnaroo that would induce whatever it is that you're trying to get at Bonnaroo.
It's just a long roach, man. I don't know why they'd waste it.
I really wasn't much better than you were that weekend. They wanted to send promo people with us to Bonnaroo one year when we talked about going, and I just feel like we couldn't air any of that. I feel like that would all have to be heavily edited.
No.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
Well, lucky for you, if you'd like to see Paramore, you could have an opportunity if you would go to Hitchin in the United Kingdom, November 22nd, or San Juan, California, November 22nd. Or back in, God, this is the snip, snap of a tour for them. In the United Kingdom on November 22nd, in California, November 26th, back to the United Kingdom in December, then to Ireland in late December.
Jelly just did something messed up like that. Like he did 2 shows in London, then flew to Vegas, then back to London for that closing Post Malone thing.
I am not familiar with Limerick or Ireland, but it does say they will be playing a show at Dolan's Pub and Restaurant in Ireland. And that I don't think that you could find a better spot. Can you imagine just like a dive bar in Paramore?
Sounds
playing?
intimate.
Yeah, right.
Well, who did that recently? Like All American Rejects? Like playing a house party?
They were basically playing like house parties in Nashville, which would be awesome.
Peyton is in Hendersonville.
Hey, Buck. I had a question about the changing of play calling. A couple weeks ago, I think what it was is you said as soon as Callie changed his play calling or was relieved his play calling duties, he was done. So do you still believe that that's the case?
Yes.
And if so, how long? My second part to that is Titans brass the one responsible for, did they take him into the office and say, look, you either change your play calling or you're done?
It wasn't that definitive, but I appreciate the call. Yeah, I just think it's the next step in being pre-fired, if I'm being honest with you. Now, could he win at Houston and the whole thing completely turn around and the Titans go 14-3 all of a sudden? I suppose you have to leave some level of open-mindedness to that, but in the absence, in the realistic version of this, they meet with him every Monday. And Amy's always done this. They communicate with whomever the coach is at the time on Mondays after games. It is less that he was sat down, but that they were going to sit down anyway, and they had a conversation about what it would take for him to stop making these in-game gaffes. And ultimately, whether it was his decision or whether it was suggested to him and he went along with it, I don't have that specific detail for you, but it was decided amongst the 3 of them, Borgonzi, Brinker, and Brian Callahan, that he would have more bandwidth to do other things and focus on the things that have helped them lose games here lately, as opposed to, I think the way Cosell said it today, whatever he's going to call on 3rd and 6.
We've seen this happen with play calling head coaches in different scenarios, so it's hard to compare. Like Nathaniel Hackett gave up play calling. That was a disaster. He didn't even make it through his first season. Yeah. Same goes for Frank Reich, who gave it up and then took it back and then gave it up. He didn't make it through his first season.
Well, and that Panther situation sounded super toxic.
Dreadful, toxic situation. That felt like it was like the worst of the Panthers as we know them.
Yeah.
And then there's Nick Sirianni, who gave up play calling. Obviously, the Eagles have an elite roster. Brian Daboll in New York has given it up and then taken it back and then given it up and played the snap game with Mike Kafka. So we'll see if it dramatically improves the Titans' in-game management, because that's the purpose of all of this. We'll see if that's what we're talking about on Monday, like we were after week 1 and week 2.
I mean, they could just straight up lose and lose like a normal team.
Right.
Like
week 2.
Always allowed.
That's what week 2 felt like. They lost like a normal football team.
They lost like a normal team.
Yeah, they had penalties, right? There were plenty, but they just lost to a better football team.
Yes. Luke is in Pleasant View.
Hey, Buck, did you hear the commentary this morning on Ramon and Will where they referred to you as Caesar?
No.
Okay, well, a fan called in, was talking about the movie Gladiator, said Cam Ward would be Maximus and that you would be, or actually it was Will that said you would probably be Caesar, or maybe Commodus, giving the thumbs down. But then they said Bert would be Brutus, which is funny because Brutus and Cassius betrayed Caesar, stabbed him in the back, but they called him Bertus. And laughed uncontrollably. So I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, so Lucas in that situation would be Cassius, and I have yet to remove the knives that they stick in my back every day.
No, see, in that scenario, it would be Bertius and Asius. That thing is fat, boy. Good Lord.
Well, and now we know it's not real. Now we know he got a BBL because he wants to be, he's cosplaying as a Brazilian while being full Italian and telling everybody in the world that will listen to him. He's even getting married in Brazil. You want to talk about playing a bit way too far out, like me in the poll questions? Lucas lying for, how old are you?
29.
29 years of life.
I've got the passport.
Trying to convince him.
It's like bench warmers. He's got documentation.
I am 12.
I am 12.
I am Brazilian. The consulate was in on the bit. I was like, no, it'll be funny. Just trust me.
Shame on you, really.
Someone called in earlier and was like, wanted to tell me about how good of an impression Lucas left on them. And I was like, the only good impression I know Lucas leaves is the one in that seat when he gets up and the show's over.
I mean, literally, you will see Blaine fall into the crater that is left by Lucas's ass.
Yeah, if you watch the first segment of Cover 2, it's just Blaine's forehead.
He's got to wait for the Tempur-Pedic chair to puff.
Why does every show end up talking about Lucas's butt? Let's play the polls and get the hell out of here.
Presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. What do you need to see from the Titans offense on Sunday to show legit progress? Nick says Cam taking less sacks, less penalties, some successful shots downfield, and not being in 2nd and 15 every drive because of a predictable run call.
Somebody in the chat says MLLO, laughing my Lucas off.
That's awesome. LMLO.
That's what it sounds like when you laugh your Lucas off.
Mine's still there.
Who wins the matchup on Sunday, Snead or Collins? 72% say Nico Collins.
A lot of confidence in L'Jarius Snead, talking a lot of smack. Well, really not talking a lot of smack, but talking just enough.
And do the Vols cover -8.5 at Mississippi State?
Those Owls?
What are you, an owl? 66% say yes, Vols cover in Starkville.
8.5 feels big. I don't know. If you were me, what would you bet?
With the offense playing the way I just think they'll be able to overpower Mississippi State.
Okay.
I think Mississippi State's going to score some points. I mean, Tennessee's defense has yet to shut down an opponent to this point, and they're better. Their quarterback plays better. They're fast on the outside. But, yeah, you haven't seen anything from that Mississippi State defense quite yet to, in my opinion, say that this is going to be a tight game to the end. Famous last words, maybe.
Those polls?
Yep.
Lucas will be with Ramon tomorrow morning because Will is going to the Ryder Cup before he goes to do sidelines for the Titans at the Texans. Robert and I and Coach Mack and Brett Kern will be with you tomorrow. See you there.
Show's over. That means lunchtime. That means Hattie B's. Whether it's grilled, fried chicken, hot or not, the southern salad, the half bird, the sides. Oh, the sides are perfect. The pimento mac and cheese, my personal favorite, but you can't go wrong. The southern greens, the baked beans, all of it is scratch made, and it's like your mama made it. Hattie B's hot chicken, the best in the world. Let them fuel your watch party or your tailgate this coming football weekend. Head to HattieB.com. Get one of those big buckets of chicken, the jumbo wings. You can't go wrong. By the way, if you download the Hattie B's app today, you get a free dessert just by downloading the app. You get to tack on some banana pudding to your order for pickup or delivery. They are now at Nissan Stadium as well for you to watch the Titans while you enjoy Hattie B's famous hot chicken. Visit any one of their 7 Middle Tennessee locations and get Hattie B's today or this football weekend.